leaping high into the air. He brought his blade down toward Jein Frey with a thunderous roar, unleashing the storm bolt. But in a flash, Jein Frey's silhouette flickered and reappeared behind Jenny's, shattering his cold composure and leaving him wide-eyed in shock. Seizing the moment, he soared upward, launching a high-speed strike with a fist cloaked in raging flames. Jean's wasn't finished yet, showing his true prowess. He swiftly leaned back, narrowly dodging Jein Frey's blazing punch, successfully evading the strike. Jeans gripped his sword tight and prepared to retaliate with a devastating upward swing. Suddenly, the centipede sword began to manifest in Jein Frey's hand. This intriguing turn of events forced Jeans to turn his head in curiosity. Was he switching weapons? Jein Frey was utilizing the same tactical shift he used in his previous battle against Mira. As he shouted "Melt!", the sword began to transform. Tiny purple stone fragments instantly materialized. Swirling around Genis, the stones hovered in the air, completely surrounding him. Looking at the mysterious purple gems, he couldn't help but feel a sense of dread. This was poison. Suddenly, the sound of rushing wind pierced Genis's ears as something tore through the air, forcing him to turn around. It was a direct assault from Jein Frey. The melt skill was merely a feint to lower his guard. Caught in the diversion, Jeans took a flaming fist straight to the gut, coughing violently as Jein Frey took total control. Jein Frey flashed a triumphant grin and spoke the final words. "It's over." At this moment, Jeans lost all his calm, letting out a desperate scream. He swung his blade wildly in one last attempt. With no response, Jein Frey vanished into thin air once again, leaving a bewildered Jeans searching the empty space in panic. He disappeared again. Where could he be? While Jeans searched frantically, Jein Frey's silhouette suddenly loomed directly above him. A look of pure satisfaction crossed his face as he gazed down at his feet. He hadn't expected to unlock this so easily. The hidden conditions for an adventurer's class advancement had finally been met. Skill 3 of the lightning speed kick was now unlocked, Thunder Dragon God's 1,000 heavenly slashes. Despite its 96-hour cooldown, while mid-air, his boots erupted in a brilliant blue light the moment he invoked the name of the Thunder Dragon God. That overwhelming radiant power bore down on genies below. Trembling, he could only stare upward in utter disbelief. Jein Frey stood atop a massive blue dragon with glowing red eyes. It bared its razor-sharp fangs at Genis before lunging with a terrifying roar. Jeans scrambled backward, desperate to escape the dragon's gaping maw as it sought to swallow him whole. With explosive speed and overwhelming force, the strike sent Genis flying, pinning his body deep into the arena wall. In that moment, he could only wonder what kind of skill this was. Up in the stands, the spectators rushed to the railings, peering down to see the aftermath of the devastating blow. Amidst the cracked earth and debris, Janice remained pinned to the wall in a slumped position while Jein Frey hovered victoriously above. The official announcement echoed through the arena. Janice Jamarian is unable to continue. The battle is over. After a grueling and intense struggle, the spectacular victory was officially awarded to Jein Frey van Red. He raised his hands in a joyous cheer, though internally he breathed a sigh of relief. He'd made it just in time before that precious item vanished into smoke. Mira watched his celebration from the sidelines in silence before quietly turning her back on the airborne Jein Frey. As she walked away, she made a silent vow to herself that she, too, must become much stronger. The announcer's voice rang out against the blue sky, declaring Jein Frey van Red as the third champion of the arena. His rewards included 10 billion GAM and a class change paper, located within the depths of the level 3 dungeon, the Reincarnation. A system notification flickered to life, displaying the image of a mysterious book. He had finally obtained the class change paper. Without hesitation, Jein Frey decided to use it immediately while the momentum was high. The screen blinked with a prompt. Do you wish to use the class change paper, yes or no? He hesitated, his mind racing. Simply clicking yes for a standard class change was far too ordinary. He knew there was another way. Staring at the choice before him, his finger hovered over the screen, contemplating a much more calculated move. He reached out and deliberately pressed no. A follow-up warning appeared. Are you certain you do not want to proceed with the class advancement? The prompt gave him one last choice, yes or no. If you press yes, the class change paper will be consumed. His finger brushed the yes button, but he chose the option to not advance his class. Immediately, a new notification appeared. Do you wish to equip the class change paper? Yes or no? A confident smile spread across his face as he realized his plan was working. His finger rose once more, gently tapping the notification on the screen. A flash of golden light erupted as the book reappeared. This was the hidden piece that only manifests within the Reincarnation ruins. By choosing not to advance his class conventionally, he unlocked the rare ability to equip the class change paper itself. A system notification flickers to life before his eyes. The job change paper has been successfully equipped. The artifact resonates, transforming into the Memoria necklace. Rank unknown. Wisdom 200. Durability 7,000. The War Chronicles skill awakens now. I can freely switch to any class I have previously defeated. Tapping the cold surface of the pendant, he smirks. And just like that, my fifth hidden piece is secured. Jein Frey reflects on his new power. I can embody the strength of every explorer who fell by my hand, swapping classes mid-combat to manipulate my stats and steal their unique skills. This is a game changer. Clutching the miniature journal on the chain, he whispers into the wind. The necklace is finally mine. With the third Demon King slain, his business here is done. Hands in his pockets, He turns his back on the battlefield. Time for the fourth continent. He approaches the shimmering rift, the gateway to the next stage of his journey. With a steady breath, he steps forward, vanishing into the blinding light of the teleportation circle. But as he emerges, a cold sweat breaks on his brow. This place, it feels fundamentally different from anything he has ever seen. This is the graveyard of ambitions, the continent with the highest retirement rate. Jein Frey's boots touch down amidst a brilliant flash of light. As the world stabilizes, a single thought consumes him. I cannot afford to let my guard down for even a second. He looks up to find a breathtaking shoreline and golden sun. Welcome to the fourth continent's heart resort force. On the sand, men ride the waves with joyous shouts. Beautiful women lounge by the surf, while others bask under the tropical heat. Laughter echoes through the air as tourists marvel at the scenery. This place is incredible. It feels like a literal dream. Watching from the sidelines, Jein Frey remains unmoved. A dream. He muses silently, but one filled with hidden thorns. He eyes the frolicking crowds with skepticism. This resort-like paradise seems entirely disconnected from the brutality of war. It is a haven for exhausted explorers who have survived countless hunts to finally lay down their weapons. But this heaven of relaxation is a lethal trap. Once you taste this comfort, the fire of ambition begins to die. They lose the will to return to the dark dungeons. In this paradise, giving up is the easiest thing in the world. Are you here all alone? Handsome Jein Frey flinches, his heart skipping a beat as a voice pierces his thoughts. Standing before him is a girl with striking gray hair. She offers a mischievous grin, flashing too sharp. Feline fangs, rare indeed. A sea wolf tribe member, he thinks. I'm Kukuru, she chirps, your official guide to Resort Force. With a playful wink, she promises to show him every corner of the island. Little does she know, her secrets are already laid bare by his system. Class Grand Thief, race Sea Wolf, specialist in aquatic mobility. Ignoring her charm, he remains silent. Kukuru tilts her head, undeterred. So, what's your name? Mr. Jein Frey. But I'm not here for a vacation, so I don't need a guide. Ignoring his rejection, she boldly links her arm with his. I hear you. Jein Frey now. Let's start with the most famous spots on the island. He tries to shake her off, his voice rising in frustration. Wait. You've got it wrong. I'm not here to play. Instantly, Kukuru's smile vanishes into a cold, icy stare. Fine. Whatever. She shoves him away, her friendly persona evaporating. Then, as quickly as it left, her giggle returns. See you around then, Mister, she shouts, waving as she disappears into the crowd. Jein Frey stands frozen, watching her sprint away with strange urgency. He scratches his head in total confusion. What was that all about? Well, no matter. I have work to do. First, he needs to secure his savings and check his gear's durability. He has to reach the Demon King's lair immediately. Suddenly, his system window flashes a red alert. Jein Frey's eyes go wide, his heart dropping into his stomach. What? His mind screams in absolute disbelief. My phantom spirit. It's gone. It's completely vanished. He clutches the interface, a realization dawning on him like a lightning strike. I told myself not to get distracted. Why did I let my guard down? He remembers Kukuru's sudden change in attitude. A dark shadow falls over his face. That little brat. She played me. Meanwhile, a pair of light feet skip across the boardwalk. Kukuru lets out a triumphant cackle. Success. She twirls happily, whispering to herself. Such a naive explorer. But man, his gear is top tier. In hair hand, she flaunts Jein Frey's stolen phantom spirit. This legendary beauty is going to fetch a massive fortune. Back at the entrance, Jein Frey remains in a state of shock. His most prized possession has been snatched right from under his nose. The memory of her hugging his arm now feels like a stinging slap. She was never a guide. She was a professional mark. As Kukuru runs along the shore, her heart dances with greed. How many millions should I ask for this? Today is my lucky day. Sprinting blindly, the little girl crashed headlong into a stranger. Kukuru trembled, her voice shaking as she stammered a frantic apology to the person before her. I'm sorry. A woman's voice finally broke the silence. Mira held her glass, her eyes wavering for a split second before she spoke softly. It was my fault. Are you hurt? Little one, in the middle of the raucous crowd, her clear voice rang out, forcing both of them to turn back. Found you. Jein Frey's expression darkened instantly, his eyes burning with a sharp, undeniable irritation that he couldn't even begin to hide. He dashed toward them with explosive speed, sending a wave of inexplicable dread through the little girl's heart. Since when had he caught up? Mira's eyes widened in sheer disbelief, her voice trembling with a shock that was impossible to mask. Jein Frey vanread, her face twisted into a grimace as dark thoughts swirled in her mind. Accompanied by a crushing sense of foreboding, Mira couldn't suppress her rising annoyance, her voice sharp and heavy with irritation. Jein Frey, what on earth do you think you're doing right now? But he ignored her, surging past like a gust of wind while shouting, don't even dream of escaping now. He gripped the girl's hand tight, as if afraid Kukuru might vanish. Jein Frey held her in a vice-like grip, his voice dropping into a low, menacing growl as he began to interrogate her relentlessly. Hurry up and give it back to me. Kukuru froze for a heartbeat before screaming back. Wait, what do you think you're doing? What do you want from me? Let go, he roared back in a fit of pure rage. Stop playing dumb. You little thief. In that exact moment, a glass of ice-cold water was splashed directly onto his head. Jein Frey's voice jumped an octave as he yelped. That's freezing. Mira spoke with cold disdain. Cut it out. Jein Frey. How can you act like this towards such a young girl? He whipped around to face her. A look of pure, dazed bewilderment plastered across his face. The sudden turn of events left Jein Frey shouting in confusion. What you, again? She maintained a mask of total calm. Her voice steady and rhythmic. I'm just like you. Now, let the girl go. She clearly doesn't like this. He bellowed back in frustration. This has nothing to do with you, but she wasn't about to back down from the argument. I'll have you arrested for threatening a child. Kukuru watched them, thinking silently to herself. Do these two actually know each other? His face tight with tension. Jein Frey tried to explain the situation in a rushed, frantic tone. Listen, you've got it all wrong. This brat stole my gear. Suddenly, a panicked scream tore through the air, drawing their eyes instantly. Amidst the chaos, a heavy iron chain whipped forward, freezing the very atmosphere. Kukuru gasped in horror as the cold iron links abruptly coiled around her body, trapping her in an unbreakable bind. The little girl couldn't contain her terror, screaming out with a face pale from absolute shock. What is the meaning of this? A group of hulking men erupted in cheers of triumph, their voices echoing like thunder. Got her. Nice work. Eric and his cold-blooded crew forced her into a heavy sack. We've secured the prize. Their malicious whispering reached the pair, leaving both Jein Frey and Mira standing frozen in their tracks. See that a rare member of the Sea Wolf tribe? A truly priceless find. Talk about luck. Let's head back and report to the guild master. Jein Frey took a deep breath, shouting at the top of his lungs to drown out the sinister chatter surrounding them. Hold it right there, I'm not finished dealing with that brat yet. Bruno narrowed his eyes, a predatory smirk dancing on his lips as he spoke with calculated malice. You've been spotted. We've been tailing you since the arena. Jin stood there stunned, his face a mask of confusion. The man sneered. Don't try to play coy with us now. This beastkin girl is just a lucky bonus. Her kind fetches a high price regardless. In that moment, he realized the situation was far more dangerous than he imagined. He continued his taunt. But our real objective has always been you. Jein Frey Van read. He wondered how they knew his name, but Mira stepped forward to explain. I see. You lot are adventure hunters, aren't you? Placing a hand to her lips, Mira surveyed the group with a gaze that held hidden depths before she began to speak. Low-life looters who plague the fourth continent. Your group is known as the Curved Guild. Jein Frey let out a long, weary sigh, his bored eyes scanning the thugs. So you followed me since the arena. I bet you're after that 1 billion G bounty. He thought to himself. I've dealt with players just like this back in the game. The man spoke with a false sense of diplomacy. Since you understand, let's keep this simple. We're professionals, so don't even dream of escaping. With a loud, arrogant laugh, Bruno barked out orders to his men. Move in. Brothers, bind him tight and strip everything of value from his pockets. Amidst the cacophony of the shouting mob, Jin remained as motionless as a statue. Round screamed the order. Target Iron Hammer Jein Frey. In the blink of an eye, he lunged forward, swinging iron chains with a murderous expression. Ron growled in frustration, his patience wearing thin as he snapped. Damn it. He's too fast. Where did that guy go? Bruno suddenly pointed his finger toward Mira and roared. Target the woman instead. She's the quarterfinalist. Rami alias. She's bound to have valuable loot on her too. Jin flashed her a teasing smirk. Seems like you're quite the celebrity around here. Mira sighed reluctantly, her rare vacation now completely ruined, maintaining a calm exterior. Her eyes sharpened with a deep, hidden intensity. She thought silently. This is a blacklisted guild the association has marked. I suppose this is the perfect moment to wipe them out. Her composure vanished as she took a battle stance. Suddenly, he laughed heartily. We're heading out first. Kukuru cried out in vain. No one's coming, Jein Frey shouted, panic surging through him as well. Hold it right there, Round smirked maliciously, lunging forward with a menacing roar. You aren't going anywhere. Gritting his teeth, he growled. Out of my way, Dark. Heavy thoughts swirled within his mind. They might be thugs, but they're fourth continent adventurers. Taking them down unarmed is impossible. Mira watched him, arms crossed and eyes indifferent. What's the holdup? Just finish them off already? He gasped in shock. Already Jein Frey scratched his head, stammering out a clumsy, confused explanation. I want to, but that beastkin stole my weapon. Round's fury finally boiled over into a loud scream. You dare touch my friend, die. She froze. I see. So that's why you're chasing them, dodging a lethal strike, he shouted. Do you have any weapons I can use? She frowned, looking genuinely confused. Weapons, like potion bottles or alchemy tools, Jein Frey blinked. Has anyone ever fought with those? He yelled. Just show me whatever you have. Fast. She looked startled by his outburst. Why are you screaming? Fine. Just take a look then. Check your inventory. Mira said. I just sent them over. He stared, jaw dropping in awe. Suddenly, Jein Frey's face darkened with a heavy expression. Asterisk. Of course, she's a total item addict. He stood frozen, deep in thought. Asterisk. These are all just incredibly bizarre weapons. Jein Frey sighed. Some weapons she couldn't even wield anymore. Asterisk. What a strange girl. Ron panted heavily, his voice strained from exhaustion. You're dead meat for looking away. After a brief silence, a realization hit him. This works. I'll borrow it for now. Hesitating for only a second, Jein Frey tapped the screen, sealing his decision. Mira shrieked in horror. That's a rogue's weapon. You're a crafter. You can't use that. Watch me. He replied. The system flashed a notification for the Memoria necklace. Skill 1 War Chronicles mimic a defeated foe's class. Notification class change crafter to rogue. Mira stood there, her mouth hanging open in utter disbelief. A class change. Did he use a hidden scroll? A rogue is nothing like a crafter. Jein Frey raised his hand, his finger hovering over the glowing interface. Steal, he whispered. Wait, Mira screamed. I'll return it. I promise, she gasped. You can use steal through a sync window? Jein Frey grinned with excitement. I never imagined you'd have a legendary weapon like this. The moment he spoke, a massive blue cloth wrap manifested right before their eyes. Mira froze, staring at the wine demon's large wrap. She watched him nervously as he tinkered with it. Borrow it if you must. But that's not for fighting. What are you even planning? He turned back, a confident smirk playing on his lips. She clearly didn't know its true power. Without another word, Jein Frey thrust his hand deep into the fabric. This is how it's done. In a flash, he drew the night demon's massive golden staff. Mira watched, absolutely stunned. Impossible. I didn't know it could do that, Jein Frey smirked, his weapon tearing through the air. Seeing him charge, Round swung his heavy chains, desperate to parry the incoming strike. He lunged forward, delivering a brutal punch to Ryan's jaw, sending blood spraying everywhere. Jein Frey moved past him, his eyes cold. Wasted too much time. Where'd they go? His gaze drifted toward the distant horizon, where the sunlight bathed the far-off path. Mira, I'll need to borrow this a bit longer. Suddenly, she let out a piercing scream. It's gone, shaking with pure panic. Mira shrieked. My muscle axe is missing. Why? How? Jein Frey chuckled awkwardly. Asterisk. It's like what happened with Hashi. A sense of déjà vu hit him. The beast girl probably swiped it from you too. Fine. I'll help you get it back. Mira suddenly stormed off. Where are you going? He called out. She turned and roared back. To get my stuff. That collection is more important than my life, Jein Frey sighed, watching her go. She's playing for keeps now. Within the Kongu Guild headquarters, a heavy, suffocating silence fills the grand hall. If and Eric drag Kukuru forward, announcing in unison. Look here. Guildmaster, we've captured a member of a rare beastkin tribe. The girl spins around, screaming in rage. Let me go right now. A sea wolf. Isn't she? Aang notes. Suddenly, Io raises his hand, his fingers twitching as if counting his profits. This brat will fetch a fortune. Brother. Angio nods slowly, a sinister smirk of satisfaction creeping onto his face. Indeed. The Agio and Angio brothers, the Guildmaster and Vice Master, are both elite, high-level mages. Aang abruptly asks, and what of our target Eric? Hauls Kukuru up, a confident grin spreading across his lips. Sir, we've located Jinfi Van Redling. Just as planned, he declares with absolute certainty. We'll finish him off and return shortly. But then boom, a deafening explosion rocks the room. The group whips around in shock. What happened? Through the shattered entrance, a silhouette emerges from the dim light. Mira stands with her hands on her hips, her gaze piercing. Found you now. Hand over my collection. Jein Frey sighs in exasperation. Can't you just use a door? Normally, he wonders. Recalling the Blessing Castle incident, she declares boldly. I won't let anything stand in my way, not even a door. He's speechless. She's truly impossible. Meanwhile, Kukuru's eyes go wide, her gaze fixed on the two newcomers. Recognizing Mira, Eric and If scream in terror. What? Why are you here? What happened to our commander? She ignores them, casually flipping her hair. That trash. He's likely playing with jellyfish now. Hand over the girl. The temperature drops as Mira's voice turns ice cold. Do it, or I'll personally send you to the afterlife. Suddenly, her eyes narrow, sharpening with lethal intent. She senses a massive surge of danger closing in. A massive wooden tentacle lunges at Mira with lightning reflexes. She barely manages to dive out of the way. Mira looks up to see Agio reaching out, his voice calm yet sinister. Now, Milady. Breaking our door without a greeting, how incredibly rude. Both Angio and Agio fix their gaze on Mira, their eyes burning with dark amusement. Seems our target slipped away. Perhaps, but she'll make much better prey. Jein Frey groans. This is getting way too complicated. I really didn't want any more trouble. Mira ignores him, staring down the brothers with unwavering resolve. The Basura brothers of the Kongu Guild, your crimes have already been reported to the association. They remain unfazed, standing in mocking silence. Finally, Aang speaks. The association. You say, they must have quite the collection of reports on us by now. Wouldn't they, 𝐼-𝐎𝐻? By the way, that girl reeks of gold just like our target. He barks a command to attack. End this wood tentacles. Massive vines lash out like guided missiles. Homing in on Jein Frey and Mira, reacting instantly. Jein Frey leaps into the air, his body spinning gracefully to evade the crushing blow. Jein Frey realizes with a grimace. Looks like there's no talking our way out of this. Damn it. Mira charges forward, her spirit ablaze. This trash guild needs to be destroyed anyway, she screams. Sin. Come forth. As she calls out, the air itself begins to vibrate with raw power. The spirit answers the call immediately. Aang stands his ground, unfazed as the water spirit's violent torrent surges toward him. He quickly summons an earthen fortress, instantly neutralizing the attack. Mira's eyes widen in shock. She realizes her wind-based spirit is powerless against his absolute defense. 𝐼-𝐑𝐚𝐧𝐤 can't hide his sadistic excitement. An amateur trick like that won't even scratch his fortress. Aang turns just in time to see Jein Frey charging at him, weapon grip tight, radiating an overwhelming aura. He growls through gritted teeth. I have no grudge against you, but if you stay in my way, we're going to have words. Jein Frey stays low, gliding across the floor to close the distance. But 𝐼-𝐑𝐚𝐧𝐤 counters with a relentless barrage. The wooden rain strikes with terrifying speed. Unable to parry, Jein Frey is sent flying backward. 𝐼-𝐻 and 𝐼-𝐸 erupt in mocking laughter. You're nothing. That arena champion title is just an empty boast, gasping for air after the devastating impact. Jein Frey and Mira struggle to find their feet. The goons holding Kukuru sneer at them, their eyes locked on the duo. Kukuru watches in mounting terror. The Bazura brothers are infamous killers. They're in real danger. This is going downhill fast. Jein Frey glares at Mira, fuming. This mess is all because you charged in head first. Now get up and back me up. She snapped back, pointing an accusing finger. What nonsense are you talking about? Your skills are pathetic. Just stay back and support me. Their glares locked as the air turned thick with tension. She shot him a defiant look. What, you're still not backing down? Is something wrong with you? Suddenly, a massive explosion tore through the area, shattering the silence of the surroundings. As the thick smoke slowly cleared from where they stood, Eric, Kukuru, and Y stared forward, their faces twisted in disbelief. 𝐼-𝐸 grinned at the wreckage. They're dead. Aang crossed his arms with a sneer. Typical fools. Eric surveyed the scene and barked a command to loot the bodies. Meanwhile, Kukuru trembled, her mind spiraling into a total panic. What should I do? They're both gone. And it's all my fault. Eric's eyes narrowed as he realized something was wrong. Wait, where are the bodies then? A familiar voice echoed. Like I said, Jein Frey spoke up. First, we need to recover the stolen items. Mira's brow furrowed instantly in response. Don't you dare give me orders. He shrugged. Well, you must be exhausted from dealing with those idiots anyway. She let out a long sigh. I suppose you're right. Then her tone hardened. But as a guild member, I can't just let this slide. I won't let the reputation of the 8 guardians be dragged through the mud by the likes of them. Jein Frey nodded. Understood. Now, listen closely to my plan. She didn't hesitate. Let's move out. Wait. Listen to me, Jein Frey tried to interject. But Mira raised her hand, unleashing a massive surge of magic. Water Dragon's Roar. She followed up with a defensive spell that shook the earth. Earthen Fortress. Mira had hesitated before, thinking summoning was a bad move. But now, there was no room for doubt anymore. Summon, she shouted. Jein Frey immediately intervened. Hold on a second. He reached out and placed a freezing sea jellyfish right on her head. What on earth are you doing? She shrieked. He calmly explained. I found this at the beach. No need for a full summon. Now, give me that stinking cypress branch and the toad oil from your inventory. Jein Frey added quickly, and let me borrow your Ifrit's beacon fire too. Mira narrowed her eyes. Are you planning to use my collection again? He flashed a grin. I'll make it worth your while if you do. She echoed suspiciously. Worth my while? Jein Frey nodded. Exactly. I'm going to craft some special gear for you. Mira froze. The word special gear echoing in her mind. If you're lying, you're dead. She hissed. The system listed the materials stinking cypress branch, toad oil, and Ifrit's fire. Once the items appeared, Mira hurled them all toward Jein Frey without a second thought. He caught them with a satisfied smirk, a calculating glint flashing in his eyes. Standing amidst the chaos, Jein Frey declared, Job change alchemist. The system displayed a new item, the Memoria Necklace, Skill 1, Battlefield Memoir. It allowed him to freely adopt the class of any opponent he had previously defeated. The system confirmed the activation of Skill 1, shifting his class from thief to alchemist. Mira watched in utter confusion. He changed to an alchemist. What kind of insane system is this? Jein Frey smiled and activated Advanced Alchemy Fusion. A golden light erupted, forging a long wooden staff from the materials. The system immediately displayed the stats of the newly created item. Oil-soaked branch. Rank A. Attack plus 10. Class Great Swordsman. A branch charred by Ifrit's flames and coated in pungent oil. Mira stared at the weapon, her face a mask of pure disbelief. What's so special about this? She exploded. Give me my items back. He waved his hands dismissively. Relax. Just watch. Cool down. Cool down. Jein Frey shifted his stance. Battle state job change. Class Great Swordsman, the system flashed, confirming his transition from alchemist to the legendary warrior class. Finally, the system revealed the completed weapon in its true form, Ifrit's Blade. Rank S. Attack plus 149. A sword wreathed in Ifrit's flames, capable of incinerating anything in its path. As the wooden branch transformed into a magnificent blade, Mira stood frozen in shock. A great swordsman's true weapon. Jein Frey explained. Eric, 𝐼𝐎, and Kukuru could only stare, paralyzed by the sight. None could believe their eyes. Kukuru trembled in awe. That power. What is that? Even his armor had shifted to match his new class. 𝐼𝐎 cried out in a panic. Boss, while Aang gritted his teeth. We were just mesmerized for a second, he roared. No matter what weapon you hold, it's useless. Our combo skill is invincible. Aang and 𝐼𝐎 slammed the ground, their power causing the very earth to tremble. Mudquake. A massive wall of churning sludge erupted, completely obscuring their view of the battlefield. Aang's roar shook the chaotic battlefield, his voice echoing like a true draconic howl. But suddenly, he froze. A chill of realization flashed through his mind. Damn it. I was just the bait. Before he could react, he was swallowed by the violent whirlpool Angeou had unleashed. She sneered with icy disdain. That pathetic defense was nothing against the overwhelming fury of the water dragon. Where is your arrogance now? 𝐼𝐎 staggered back, his face pale as he gasped a single name. A scream of pure despair tore from his lungs. I'll tear you to pieces, unfazed. The earth crusher Jein Frey calmly raised his blade, his voice ringing out, first form blazing sword. He lunged forward, unleashing his final devastating blow. The fire dragon burst. 𝐼𝐎 could only grit his teeth, watching helplessly as the inferno roared toward him. Searing flames engulfed his entire body. 𝐼𝐎 let out one last, agonizing cry of total defeat. Kukuru stood paralyzed amidst the carnage, her mind reeling. Only two words echoed in her head. She couldn't believe their overwhelming power. They had crushed the Basura brothers with ease. Mira turned to her with a stern gaze. Kukuru, what did you say earlier? I'll let it slide this once. Mira pointed a warning finger. But don't you dare go stealing around the hunting grounds again. Do you understand? Kukuru bowed her head deeply. I'll remember. I'm so sorry. She choked back her tears, whispering softly, thank you for saving me. I wonder if that kid will actually listen. He muttered. Suddenly, Mira remembered something important. Wait. Jein Frey. Mira's voice was filled with sincerity. Thank you for the Ifrit sword. I promise I'll find a way to repay this debt properly. She hesitated, biting her lip as if she wanted to say more. But Jein Frey just gave a casual wave and a reassuring smile before walking away. Don't worry about it. Take care. He stepped toward the glowing portal, his silhouette framed by the shimmering light. Mira really does have everything, he thought. He had secretly switched his class back to thief and successfully snatched the item. System item stolen B-rank shark head mask. Details. This gear allows the user to breathe freely underwater. It includes a built-in underwater microphone. Single use only. Duration 30 minutes. Jein Frey smirked. Time for a little dive. It looked a bit ridiculous, but he tightened his fist with resolve. Next on the list is the 4th Demon King. I'll end this quickly. The S-rank dungeon of the 4th continent appears in the ocean the moment you enter, Jein Frey noted as he observed his surroundings. Honestly, I'd prefer gear that looks a bit cooler, but I can't really complain right now. Suddenly, a voice called out from behind. Master. He spun around, his eyes wide with utter confusion and shock. Wait. Master, he stammered. Kukuru bowed her head again, her expression filled with genuine sincerity. Master, thank you so much. Her voice trembled with raw emotion. Thank you for saving my life back there. Is it because I took off the angel ring? He quickly regained his cool. The problem is solved now. Right, so why are you still here? Kukuru looked up, her gaze burning with intensity. It's because I've fallen in love with your incredible power. System new skill triggered the demon's respect. The notification appeared clearly before him. Kukuru has expressed a deep, soul-felt reverence for your overwhelming strength. He stood there, stunned. What on earth? Kukuru took a deep breath. Jein Frey, no. Master, please take me as your disciple. He was completely frozen. But Kukuru was already beaming, grabbing his hand. Let's go. Master, she cheered excitedly. Let's go defeat the Demon King together. Wait, Jein Frey cried out. How did things even turn out like this? He crossed his arms, giving her a flat refusal. If you want to go, then go by yourself. Kukuru tilted her head, confused. She immediately jumped to her own conclusion. Oh, I get it. To be your disciple, I have to prove my strength first. Right. Why are you deciding things on your own? Jein Frey snapped. But before he could stop her, Kukuru dove straight into the deep blue sea. Jein Frey stood in silence, staring at the water with a complicated look in his eyes. Should I just leave now? He muttered. Suddenly, a shout of master came from the waves. Kukuru surfaced, holding a massive haul of sea creatures. She looked up at him with sparkling eyes. How was that? Is my skill good enough for you? Jein Frey was genuinely impressed. That was fast. He nodded in approval. Not bad. As expected of the Sea-Wolf tribe. System the Sea-Wolf tribe, a beastkin race renowned for their absolute mastery of the water. On land, they seem like ordinary people. But in the water, their movement speed increases tenfold. Their time underwater is limited to 30 minutes. He turned his back. Speaking casually, I have nothing to teach you. You've graduated. Bye. I haven't even officially started yet, 𝐬𝐬 protested. How can you be so heartless? Master, she clasped her hands together, her voice trembling with desperation. Please, I'm begging you, I truly want to become stronger. Jein Frey looked back over his shoulder, his expression unreadable as he remained lost in thought. But 𝐬𝐬's eyes blazed with a fierce, unwavering determination that refused to back down. He quickly concluded that reasoning with her was a lost cause. Please, make me your disciple. I'll definitely repay you, she begged. Jein Frey let out a weary sigh, finally reaching his decision. Fine, but only for this dungeon. 𝐬𝐬 froze in shock before shouting, You're really taking me in? Master, I just don't want to waste any more time here, he explained coldly. And don't involve me in your revenge plus. Stop stealing my things, Jein added with a deadly serious tone. This apprenticeship is strictly temporary. The girl cheered, unable to hide her excitement. Yes, this is great, thank you. Master, she chirped. He frowned immediately. Don't call me that. Do it again. And you're out. She stood at attention and responded firmly. Understood. Master Jein Frey, turning toward the teleportation gate, he gave a sharp command. Now, let's move. System entering S-rank dungeon. Fourth continent underwater castle. Bablo Palace. Ripples spread as Jein Frey landed on the water's surface, his mind already calculating the perfect strategy. Time to execute the plan. Suddenly, his memory necklace erupted in a brilliant, mysterious light. System memory necklace activated. Changing class alchemist to summoner. A class change. He narrowed his eyes. This equipment? How unexpected. He soon realized this was the Sea-Wolf tribe's unique telepathy. Much like how dolphins communicate. Jein Frey extended his hand, channeling his full focus. Summon. System summon 𝐷𝐚𝐻. Level 1. Rank E. Detail low-level summon capable of paralyzing enemies with electricity. 𝐬𝐬 watched in awe. What is that? It's so adorable. Jein evaluated the situation practically. My level is too low for spirits. But for now, this summon will do just fine. Jein Frey turned to her. 𝐬𝐬, go lure some suitable targets over here. System underwater communication enabled. At his command and a rebel. The girl immediately responded. Roger that. Watching her dash off, Jein noted her speed. She's quite useful. This will be much faster. Leveling 𝐷𝐚𝐻 was about to get easier. Soon, 𝐬𝐬 returned, her voice full of energy. I'm back, she yelled. Jein's jaw dropped at the swarm. Wait. That's way more than I expected. Jein Frey gave a sharp, cold command. Let's go. Discharge. A pack of sharks charged from the distance, their eyes burning with predatory hunger in the deep. 𝐷𝐚𝐻 unleashed a blinding surge of electricity, turning the surrounding water into a deadly trap. As they were stunned, Jein lunged forward, sword in hand. He struck with overwhelming, absolute force. With a decisive swing, he cleaved through them while the sharks spasmed from the intense shock. System level gap detected. Damage low. But 𝐷𝐚𝐻's paralysis effect is highly effective. The plan was set. 𝐬𝐬 lures them. 𝐷𝐚𝐻 stuns them. And Jein finishes them off. System experience gained. 𝐷𝐚𝐻 leveled up, level 1 to level 12. Through shared combat experience, his summon was rapidly growing stronger with every kill. System massive experience gained. 𝐷𝐚𝐻 leveled up, level 12 to level 18. A solid start, he thought. 𝐬𝐬, find some more. She chirped back. On it, he recalled a detail. Right. I still have that weapon I borrowed from Mira. It'll do. Discharge, Jein barked. System experience gained. 𝐷𝐚𝐻's level is rising again. Perfect. At this rate, I'll hit the max level in no time, he thought confidently. Just then, 𝐬𝐬 shouted joyfully. Look, I found a really strong one. Jein's instincts flared. What? A colossal octopus loomed over them, radiating a crushing, malevolent pressure. System danger high-level entity detected. Devil Kraken. Level 175. Jein smirked. You did well, 𝐬𝐬. Joy flooded her heart. He actually praised me. Meanwhile, Jein analyzed the threat. This giant octopus is this area's mid-boss, he explained, his voice steady. Once we take this down, the Demon King will be forced to show himself. 𝐬𝐬 turned pale. The Demon King. We have to fight something that's terrifying. Suddenly, the Kraken's tentacles lashed out. The ground shatters beneath them, sending violent tremors through the abyss. Jein Frey vaults into the air just in time, narrowly evading the lethal surprise attack. A smirk plays on his lips. I didn't see this coming, but it definitely saves us some time. 𝐬𝐬, the system interface flickers. Diving time, remaining 21 minutes. 11 seconds. The countdown to his limits continues. Jein Frey snaps a command. Target the tentacles. Let's clear this massive beast out right now. Kukuru catches his drift instantly. Tentacles. Got it. I'll be the bait then, with a bold grin. She charges straight into the beast's sights as a daring distraction. She waves provocatively. Over here? You overgrown calamari. Her laughter rings out with confidence. Come and get me if you can. Enraged by her taunts, the kraken erupts in a deafening roar. Meanwhile, Jein Frey's mind dissects its biology with cold, calculated precision. Every single tentacle functions like an independent organism, possessing its own unique combat instincts. If he hunts each one, his logic follows that he'll reap massive experience points for slaying 8 separate legendary creatures. He weighs the beast's power. It's truly a mid-tier S-rank boss. Every limb possesses a high-level threat. High risk means high reward. Jein Frey lowers his voice. His command, sharp and cold thunder strike. 𝐷𝐸𝐷𝐻 unleashes a massive surge of electricity, scorching everything in its path with a blinding light. With overwhelming momentum, Jein Frey raises his blade and strikes. A flaming blow severs the tentacles in a decisive, fiery arc. The system chimes with victory. Experience gain 𝐷𝐸𝐷𝐻 has reached level 27. Levels keep climbing. Level 27 to 32. The notification screen blurs with a rapid chain of level ups. Level 35. 37. 39. The surge continues. Level 41. 42. And finally level 43. Jein Frey maintains the pressure, his voice filled with adrenaline. Another thunder strike. He watches with pure admiration. Incredible. You actually wiped out all those massive tentacles. He observes the aftermath with a satisfied nod. Not bad at all. The system confirms level 45. Kukuru, his voice rings out steady and calm. On it, she chirps back. She continues to dance around the kraken, her every move a mockery of the beast. From the rear, he watches the unfolding chaos with an unnerving composure. His gaze is focused and certain. 𝐷𝐸𝐷𝐻 has surpassed level 40, unlocking its full arsenal. Time to use this gear for the final showdown. He turns to his summon, his voice ringing with authority. 𝐷𝐸𝐷𝐻. Lightning Infusion. The system window snaps open with new data. Level 40 skill, Lightning Infusion. Effect temporarily imbues the weapon with devastating lightning attributes. Power surges through him. Perfect. The spirit blade is now charged with lightning. He leaps, aiming a final, crushing blow. No hesitation. Jein Frey charges forward. Let's head straight for the Demon King. He puts everything into his fist. Lightning strike. The kraken collapses, its massive form sinking lifelessly into the deep. Kukuru's eyes widen in awe. You did it. Did 𝐷𝐸𝐷𝐻 really reach its max level already? He nods slightly. Yeah. Because of that fight, it has finally reached its peak evolution. All right. All conditions to face the Demon King have been cleared. Suddenly, the currents shift. 3 massive whirlpools erupt before him, spinning with violent force. Jein Frey's eyes narrow at the familiar presence. It's finally here. The razor-sharp vortexes surge forward with chilling intent. Jein Frey clenches his fist, gathering energy for his signature move. Lightning Fist. A low, guttural voice echoes through the abyss. None who break these shells return alive. She stares in horror at the scene, her body paralyzed by the sheer pressure of that voice. System alert. 4th Demon King. Neptunus. Level 200. Attribute Sea God. Passive auto HP regeneration. Kukuru gulps, feeling the staggering difference in their strength. The 4th Demon King. What an overwhelming presence. Jein Frey's gaze turns ice cold. I'll end this quickly. He looks up at the towering figure of Neptunus. His grip on his weapon tightens. Every Demon King I've faced so far has acted in ways I never predicted. Something is shifting in this world behind the scenes. Jein Frey takes a long, deep breath to steady himself. I have to crush it before something even worse appears. Class change. On the interface, a message glows. Skill activated necklace of memories. Class change to mage. Kukuru's eyes sparkle with pure excitement. Whoa, it's Jein Frey's cheat code move. Go for it. He chuckles awkwardly. It's not cheating, Kukuru. It's strategy. In that heartbeat, a glowing magic circle manifested upon Jein Frey's palm. As the ancient runes pulsed with light, Jein Frey lunged forward, thrusting his radiant arm directly toward Neptunus. He let out a thunderous roar, his voice echoing with absolute authority as he commanded the summoning. Amidst the crackling lightning, Neptunus remained cold and unfazed, his indifferent gaze fixed on the closing magic circle. With a casual reach, Neptunus's massive hand intercepted Jein Frey's strike at the exact moment of impact. Realizing the danger, Jein Frey swiftly retreated. Neptunus merely smirked, raising a finger where a spark flickered as insignificant as a mosquito bite. Then, with a massive swing of his hand, a crushing pressure descended. Jein Frey reacted instantly, narrowly escaping death through a tactical teleport. Coiling his body, he tore through the water like a gale, leaving only faint after-images behind, channeling every ounce of lightning into his fist. He unleashed a blinding surge of electricity directly into Neptunus. The thunder fist connected. Neptunus let out a furious roar, whipping his head around with eyes burning with cold, murderous intent. Seizing this rare opening, Jein Frey didn't hesitate for a second, immediately unleashing a relentless barrage of follow-up strikes. Roaring thunder enveloped his entire being. Lightning crashed repeatedly into Neptunus's face, the deafening explosions momentarily blinding everything in sight. Neptunus was completely swallowed by the jagged arcs of the Thunder Fist as electricity danced across the water. The massive form was consumed by the storm while Jein Frey rained down a non-stop flurry of lightning-enhanced blows. Watching from behind, 𝐼𝐸𝐴's eyes lit up with excitement. But suddenly, Neptunus let out a chilling, contemptuous laugh. Did you truly believe someone like you could actually defeat me? In a blink, Jein Frey teleported right before his eyes. I'm well aware of your monstrous defense, he countered with a confident smirk, but I haven't shown you my trump card yet. Suddenly, vibrant blue mana swirled around his legs, the storm dragon's roar. A brilliant azure wave erupted, surging toward Neptunus with the sheer, violent force of concentrated magic. The raging torrent surged forward, consuming the entire area as bubbles exploded and vanished into the chaotic whirlpool. Submerged in the freezing depths, 𝐼𝐸𝐴's eyes widened in shock. She quickly swam back toward Jein Frey's side. Did you actually take down the Demon King? She asked. But Jein Frey simply shook his head with a grim expression. To finish this monster for good, I still need to land one final decisive blow. If I don't act now, it'll just keep regenerating. His mask flashed a warning, oxygen remaining. 3 minutes and 18 seconds. After a split-second calculation, he immediately activated his class change skill to shift the tide of battle. Come forth, Dendon, at his command. The summoner Dendon manifested instantly upon the battlefield. Summoned creature Dendon. Level 50. E rank. Jein Frey knew that at max level, Dendon's skills had a 100% stun rate. Suddenly, a violent vortex began to swirl in front of Jein Frey as the wind started to howl with a piercing screech. He struggled to shield his face, his eyes widening in disbelief as the ferocious gale struck before he could even react. 𝐼𝐸𝐴 also shielded her eyes, her face pale with terror as the raging cyclone threatened to swallow them both. Through the massive whirlpool, Neptunus's majestic form slowly emerged amidst the roar of wind and water. His eyes dripped with disdain as he looked down at them. You're making quite a mess of my domain, little human. Neptunus let out a boisterous laugh, offering a hint of genuine praise. Unlike those pathetic adventurers who can't face me without a party, I'm actually impressed you've held your own against me alone. Then, his voice dropped to a chilling, low whisper. However, the moment he spoke, a colossal tentacle erupted forward with savage, murderous force. Jein Frey spun around in a panic, his heart dropping as a new threat closed in. The kraken he'd defeated had reappeared. Its gargantuan silhouette rose once more from the churning, violent depths right behind Neptunus. Jein Frey bit his lip hard, his eyes trembling as he stared at the beast he thought was already dead. Paralyzed by extreme tension, his body went cold. This wasn't in the game they had actually fused together. Seeing Jein Frey frozen in fear, Neptunus began to mock him. You're the first human to ever witness my true form. One of his tentacles reached out, brushing against a nearby jellyfish drifting peacefully in the dark water. The creature didn't even have time to react before it stiffened in agony, its body convulsing from the toxic touch. Jein Frey's jaw dropped, completely horrified by the grotesque nightmare unfolding right before his eyes. He realized the terrifying truth. Anything that touched those tentacles was instantly melting away. Is that poison? Suddenly, a low, gravelly voice cut through Jein Frey's chaotic thoughts. There's no time to stand there in shock. Neptunus's tentacles lashed out like whips, striking him with such devastating force that he was sent spiraling out of control. Jein Frey was hurled through the water, his body slamming violently against a jagged rock. Damn it! 𝐼𝐸𝐴's heart tightened with dread at the sight of his agony. Jein Frey Neptunus erupted in mocking laughter, savoring the pathetic display. On the other side, Jein Frey lay motionless, pinned beneath a crushing pile of heavy boulders. He was completely unconscious, ignoring the deadly currents. 𝐼𝐸𝐴 dove desperately toward his side. This can't be happening. Jein Frey. Suddenly, Jein Frey's breathing began to steady. He gasped for air, as if snatching his soul back from the very brink of death. 𝐼𝐸𝐴's eyes lit up with joy as he regained consciousness, the overwhelming relief washing away the suffocating fear in her heart. As Jein Frey struggled to stand, Neptunus sneered down at him. Oh, still crawling, I must say. I am impressed. 𝐼𝐸𝐴 frantically pushed the massive stones aside to free him, while he wiped the grime from his face. We are in deep trouble now. One touch from those tentacles is certain death, and my oxygen is almost gone. It looks like I cannot hide this power any longer. Pushed to the limit, Jein Frey was forced to trigger his job change. Using the Necklace of Memories, he successfully switched his class to Gladiator. Immediately, the system voice chimed with clarity, announcing that the Spirit Warrior equipment had met all special conditions. Jein Frey instantly unlocked a hidden technique, sacrificing 80% of his remaining health to fuel the skill. The Gladiator's ultimate skill, Battle Spirit Awakening, has been successfully unlocked. The system's cold voice continued, activating the special ability to double both attack and defense in exchange for 80% of his health. Standing behind him, 𝐼𝐸𝐴 was speechless. That aura. Has he activated some kind of legendary buff? Sweat beaded on his forehead, as he thought to himself, the condition was to equip the soul gear as a gladiator. That last hit was brutal. This fight has gone far beyond my expectations. Neptunus let out a mocking cackle that echoed through the depths, Another costume change. What difference do you think that will make? His tentacles surged forward in a flash. Enough, I will not tolerate such arrogance from a human. Perish and become sea sand. The massive limbs lunged at him. But Jein Frey narrowly evaded the strike by a hair's breadth. Sweat poured down his face as he desperately dodged the relentless whipping of the tentacles, his mind racing to calculate his next move. His power and speed are rising fast. My shark mask only has 1 minute and 58 seconds left. Time is almost up. While evading, he realized that if this battle dragged on any longer, he would be at a fatal disadvantage. I have to finish this before the timer runs out. But I cannot find a single opening in his defense. At that exact moment, he noticed something crucial. Jein Frey. He turned to see the girl walking toward him, her gaze making him freeze. Jein Frey shouted a desperate warning to 𝐼𝐸. You idiot, don't come any closer. It's too dangerous, but she stepped forward with unwavering resolve. Neptunus roared with laughter, his voice filled with absolute confidence. I will end you both with a single strike. Jein Frey could only watch in stunned silence as she drew nearer to him. His eyes widened in disbelief. And even Neptunus seemed momentarily taken aback by her boldness. Suddenly, 𝐼𝐸 grabbed him and took off like a gale. The monster glared in fury as she spirited him away in an instant. 𝐼𝐸 playfully stuck out her tongue. Do not underestimate the speed of the sea wolf tribe. You oversized squid. The way you grabbed me felt like you were using me as a meat shield. His face contorted. But a thought crossed Neptunus's mind. That brat? The sea wolves are the fastest creatures in these waters. If this becomes a race, things might get complicated. The two of them combined their strength, and their aura surged toward the heavens. You really saved me back there, he whispered. 𝐼𝐸, can you keep drawing his fire? Without a single moment of hesitation, the girl nodded firmly in agreement. Of course, dodging is my specialty. You just focus everything on the Demon King. Jein Frey. Got it. Leave the rest to me. He gave her a sharp, determined look, his eyes burning with serious intent. We are out of time, so we must end this in one shot. When I give the signal, close the gap, then retreat immediately after I strike. She smiled and gave a small nod, her eyes sparkling with absolute trust. Understood. Neptunus roared in frustration, his voice shaking the very ocean. Enough of these petty tricks. His tentacles lashed out like a storm. He and 𝐼𝐸 moved in perfect sync to evade. Neptunus scanned the area in confusion, his eyes searching the darkness. Where are they? He searched frantically through the chaos. But Jein Frey and the girl were already diving down with cold, sharp determination. Time to end this. A massive explosion rocked the area, followed by a relentless barrage that left Neptunus completely defenseless. Neptunus let out a final, agonizing scream of fury that echoed through the entire abyss. You bastards! Jein Frey's fists tightened as he steeled himself for the coming clash. Time was running out. This was his final shot to end it all with a single blow. A flash of light ignited his resolve. No more hesitation. He gritted his teeth and lunged straight at the enemy. His fist collided with Neptunus's face, catching the monster completely off guard. A blood-curdling scream pierced the abyss. Neptunus roared in fury as a violent aura erupted around him. Don't get cocky, he barked. But his eyes widened in shock as he realized his hands were empty. 𝐼𝐸 smirked, her eyes gleaming with mischief. Looking for this? Perhaps. Clutching the card, she gave a sly grin. I have a habit of borrowing things. My bad. His face went pale. My weapon. When did you? He shrieked in a panicked rage. Jein Frey put his hands on his hips, snapping at the girl. Some habit you've got there. Then, a soft smile crossed his face. But this time, it was perfect. Great job. Lightning fist. He unleashed a relentless barrage of electrified strikes upon the beast. An explosive punch sent sparks flying everywhere. Suddenly, a voice rang out, startling the young girl. 𝐼𝐸, he barked while punching. Take his weapon and get out of the water now. He could regenerate forever here. If this kept up, Jein Frey would run out of air. Got it. To the surface, she replied. Yes, the Demon King can't heal on dry land. I'll blast him out of the water. When I do, use his weapon to finish him off. 𝐼𝐸 froze. Wait. You want me to kill him? No time for doubt, he shouted back. I'm at my limit. I can't do this alone. She stared into the distance, weighing his words. Finally, a spark of resolve lit her eyes. She dashed forward with newfound conviction. Understood, I'll give it everything I've got. Sunlight shimmered through the ripples. 𝐼𝐸 launched herself toward the surface with incredible speed. Reaching the top, she called down to him. I'm ready. Jein Frey. He raised his glowing fist, a roar of determination in his throat. Lightning fist. His resolve was absolute. The great lightning fist slammed into Neptunus, tearing a scream from the monster. A massive surge of water erupted, catapulting the creature high into the sky. He formed a hand seal, summoning a thunderous lion that tore through space. Job change. Thunder Summoner. Denon Neptunus shrieked in fury. What is this? I can't move. Denon's paralysis lasts only a second. This was the final opening. Now, 𝐼𝐸 do it. 𝐼𝐸 gripped the card tight, screaming with every ounce of strength she possessed. Equip. She brandished the blade, her gaze cold and unwavering. Her battle cry echoed, sharp enough to slice through the very air. She charged with violent speed, burying the weapon into Neptunus's face as he wailed in agony. She let go, letting the heavy weapon drag Neptunus down into the dark depths of the ocean. His final scream shook the sea. From inside his shark helmet, Jein Frey watched the monster's end. Removing his helmet, he turned to Denon. The fourth Demon King has finally fallen. A system alert flashed. Level 2, 100 Demon King Neptunus defeated. Experience and rewards granted. Kukuru stared at the screen, counting the digits. Wait. 200,000 gold. The system confirmed it. 2.5 million gold. Her level jumped from 119 to 124. She was stunned by the massive level gain. Jein Frey quickly stepped in to explain. The total bounty was 5 million. We're splitting it 2.5 million and half the experience each. But I didn't do much. She whispered. Worried. Isn't this unfair to you? Jein Frey. He couldn't help but smirk, seizing the chance to tease her. Oh, you're fine with stealing. But receiving money makes you shy. Stealing is a skill. This is different. She crossed her arms, huffing at him. Am I right or am I right? Jein felt a wave of helplessness, caught between understanding and total confusion. Jein Frey ended the dispute right there. Just take it, he insisted. As promised, we part ways here. See you. But Kukuru wasn't having it. Not so fast, she interjected. Her high-pitched shout left Jein Frey stunned, frustrated. He turned back with a sharp retort. Hey, Kukuru trailed behind. There is still so much I want to learn. So I'm coming with you. Jein Frey shot her a look of pure exasperation. Without a word, he turned and marched forward. Are you ignoring me? Kukuru cried out, hurrying to keep pace with his long strides. Panting, she followed him out of the vast sea. The scene shifts to the fifth continent, the fifth garden. Kukuru gasped in awe at the new world. Whoa, so this is the fifth continent. Jein Frey watched her, unsure how to handle her energy. I'm about to enter the SSG. It is a deadly survival game. Are you sure you want to follow? But Kukuru didn't flinch. Of course, she chirped, ignoring Jane's despair. Destination SSG. Let's go. Though worried, Jein Frey had no choice but to place his faith in her. If she is this stubborn, she will be fine, Jein told himself, hoping her class would be useful. Jein Frey began calculating his next move in silence. To challenge the fifth Demon King, he needed that hidden gear from the SSG. They finally arrived. Wow, so this is the SSG Assembly Hall, the starting zone. Looking at the veteran adventurers, Kukuru buzzed with excitement. Wait, what exactly is the SSG? Jein Frey 𝐖𝐎𝐑𝐴. He knew this was coming. How did you even become an adventurer, he wondered. Kukuru just shrugged. I never really cared. Jein Frey held his head, starting to regret his choice of a teammate, but there was no turning back now. Jein had to see this through. Listen. The SSG is suddenly. An angry shout erupted from the crowd, drawing everyone's attention. Stop following us and get lost. All eyes turned toward Dennis and Levin as the commotion grew. A fight, Dennis roared at Levin. I thought a high elf would be useful. But you're a fraud. Dennis continued his verbal assault. Even after your class change, you're still just a lowly crafter. Jein Frey frowned at the cruelty. Dennis was mocking her for having the weakest class, a mere alchemist. What a disappointment. Levin's eyes welled with tears as she looked at him. However, the system revealed her true identity, Levin Luminous Lydia, an advanced tier crafter. Dennis shoved her aside. Shut up, you're useless. He then smirked at a new ally nearby. We've already found a replacement. He sneered, trembling with hurt. Levin whispered. Then, I have no team. Dennis had no mercy. I told you to shut your mouth. With another rough shove, he barked. Go find another team. You idiot. Suddenly, a voice cut in. Are you looking for a squad? Join us instead of those losers. Jein Frey and Kukuru appeared. They looked at Levin with warmth, their sudden intervention leaving Dennis and Mar fuming in confusion. Hey, who the hell are you? Dennis screamed. Jein Frey didn't even give him a glance. He turned to Levin. The SSG is a 3-person survival game, and we are one short. Jein urged her as the clock ticked down. What do you say? Levin looked at him in shock. You really want someone like me? Jein nodded. Of course. We'd be honored. Right, Kukuru? The girl beamed. Definitely, if Jein Frey says so. I am all in. Just then, a loud announcement echoed through the hall. The SSG was about to begin. Jein moved quickly. Let's form our 3-man cell and prepare. Time is running out. So, we are really a team, Levin asked joyfully. Thank you. Thank you so much. Though Kukuru was still clueless about the stakes, her enthusiasm was infectious. Let's give it our all, she cheered. Meanwhile, the others sneered. Taking in trash like that. Are you an absolute idiot? Dennis sneered. Try your best not to get eliminated too early. Okay. Hearing his former teammate's mockery, Levin's mood soured. Suddenly, the tournament's grand announcement boomed across the area. It was time. The SSG would begin immediately. As the message ended, a glowing red heart manifested on every participant's chest. Levin and Kukuru were no exception. The young girl stared at the heart on her chest, her eyes wide with wonder. Jein Frey watched his own form, unfazed and deep in thought. After the signal, the SSG organizers offered their final wishes. Good luck, contestants. Instantly, magic circles filled with ancient runes appeared beneath their feet, radiating a brilliant, blinding light. It was Kukuru's first time witnessing such magic. and she was absolutely mesmerized by the spectacular sight. What is this?" she gasped. Countless pillars of light erupted, streaking across the sky toward their unknown destinations. One powerful beam of light descended deep within the forest, striking the ground beside a massive, ancient tree. Jein Frey's trio materialized within the fading glow. Kukuru blinked, her curious eyes darting around their new float. Mysterious surroundings. Whoa. Wait, where are we? Is it just us? Kukuru suddenly remembered something and quickly shifted the subject. She looked at Jein Frey and asked, "Brother Jein, what exactly is the SSG Jein?" Frey showed surprising patience. He replied calmly, "Listen closely. I am only explaining this once. The rules of this game are incredibly simple. Over the next 48 hours, the team that manages to collect the most hearts will be declared the winner." He continued his serious explanation. "If your heart is stolen, you are eliminated. However, captured hearts can revive fallen allies." The explanation clicked. Kukuru fully grasped the rules, and her initial excitement surged to a whole new level. "I get it," she chirped. Skipping forward, "We just need to take as many hearts as possible." "Right, how exciting." Jein Frey then turned toward Levin. "By the way, I realized I haven't properly introduced myself to you yet. I am Jein Frey." He gestured toward the energetic girl, "And that noisy one is Kukuru." "It is a pleasure." Levin blushed slightly, feeling shy. "My name is Levin, an elf adventurer." Jane's expression immediately turned sharp and serious. He asked Levin, "Shall we start the first round? Also, can you craft a specific item for me right now?" Understanding his intent, Levin nodded quickly. "Yes. I always carry a vast supply of medicinal herbs with me," Jein Frey commanded. "Use your crafting skills to create some exploding grass and toss it over that way immediately." Levin understood the plan and began her work. Exploding grass. Right, understood. She activated her unique mixing skill. After combining several herbs, she produced A-rank exploding grass, a volatile plant that detonates upon the slightest physical impact. With the item ready, she asked, "Just throw it there." Levin hurled the grass and quickly retreated to safety. Jein Frey watched intently as the exploding grass reached its target and triggered a massive, violente éruption. Dennis's group was sent flying into the air by the blast. "What the hell just happened?" he screamed. Jein Frey watched with a cunning smirk as Dennis crashed down. Dennis's team landed right at Jane's feet, utterly confused. What was that explosion?" Dennis groaned. Still dazed and struggling to understand the sudden ambush, Jein Frey chuckled mockingly, crossing his arms. "We meet again? Now, be a good boy and hand over your hearts." Dennis's trio knelt before them, processing the attack. Enraged by the ambush, Dennis barked, "What do you think you're doing, you bastard?" Jein Frey scoffed. "So, how did Levin's exploding grass taste? Pretty impactful, wouldn't you say?" Dennis realized Levin was the one behind the blast that wrecked his team. He turned his boiling rage toward her. "It was you," Dennis pointed an accusing finger. "Don't toy with me. If you had skills like that, say so earlier." His bitterness grew as he felt cheated. "If we had known, we might have actually kept you in the party." But while Dennis was busy screaming at Levin, Kukuru had already made her move with lightning-fast speed. Before he could even blink, she had expertly snatched all 3 hearts from Dennis's team, leaving them completely stunned. Kukuru proudly brandished the 3 hearts. "Got them. This is how we do it." Right. Her speed left everyone speechless. Jein Frey hadn't expected the young girl to be so sharp and efficient in the heat of the moment. Dennis frantically checked his chest and let out a horrified shriek. "My heart, when did you?" His teammates panicked too. "Mine is gone too." Jein Frey was amazed. "Impressive," he thought. "That skill is a total game changer." Kukuru cheered over her easy victory, having lost their hearts. Dennis's entire team began to fade away into the air. Before the elimination took full effect, Dennis roared, "You damn brat, give those hearts back to us right now." Dennis didn't even finish his threat before his team vanished into golden light. Kukuru watched them go, feeling slightly dazed. "What, they've all vanished?" Jein Frey explained that once a heart is snatched, you're instantly disqualified and teleported back to the starting zone. Kukuru beamed with joy, immediately turning to shower Levin with praise for her help. "So that's it. You're truly incredible." Levin waved her hands frantically, blushing in embarrassment. "No, it wasn't just me. The fact that you snatched 3 hearts so quickly is what's truly impressive." Kukuru. Hearing that, Kukuru's spirit soared with newfound confidence. The young girl was itching for more. "Really? Then I'll work even harder." Spotting another trio, she lunged forward without hesitation. "Found my next targets," Jein Frey shouted out, desperate to stop her reckless charge. "Hey!" "Wait, Kukuru. Hold on." But Kukuru was beyond control. To her eyes, the 3 figures ahead looked like nothing more than easy prey. She burst from the bushes, her mind consumed by the desire for those hearts. Suddenly, a deafening noise erupted. Something was terribly wrong. Would she succeed midway through her lunge? Kukuru froze as a chilling realization hit her. Something was definitely off. Kukuru spun around to check herself and gasped in total shock. "What? How? My heart? It's gone." Pascal, Corin, and Leo stood over her with mocking sneers, clearly laughing at the young girl's blatant stupidity. Watching his teammate's self-destruction, Jein Frey felt utterly helpless, rushing in blindly like that. She got exactly what she deserved. Reality finally set in. She had walked straight into a trap. Confused and desperate, she turned back toward Leo's group. Leo Pascal mocked her innocence with a cruel laugh. You didn't know about the anti-theft laws. Typical rookie mistake. Corin clutched the pile of stolen hearts, gloating over their prize. This brat had 3 extra hearts. We really hit the jackpot. Looking at her lost spoils, Kukuru shrieked in despair. Corin replied calmly. Anti-theft items are incredibly expensive. You know, they are single-use items. But being prepared like this certainly pays off in the end. As the disqualification began to pull her away, Kukuru cried out in denial. No, this can't be happening. Seeing her new friend forced out, Levin burst into tears of sorrow. Kukuru Jein Frey sighed. I didn't even have time to help. Losing a teammate so early was a heavy blow. However, unlike the naive Kukuru, Jein Frey was no amateur in this game. He knew stealing skills were powerful, which is why defensive measures are the absolute basics of survival in the SSG. In this game, the only way to win is through superior knowledge and a perfect strategy to crush your opponents. That is the true path to victory. Seeing their opening, the 3 enemies decided to strike. Corin barked arrogantly. Those must be her teammates. They don't look like much. Let's finish them off right here and now. But before they could even lay a finger on Jein Frey or Levin, a streak of lightning flashed past them. In that split second, Jein Frey stripped every heart from Corin's group. Their faces twisted in familiar shock. What are hearts? As Levin watched in pure awe, Jein Frey spoke with cool confidence. I don't need stealing skills when my speed is enough. Now, let's revive Kukuru and give her a lecture. Instantly, Corin's group was warped back to the beginning. Leo couldn't accept the defeat. His voice filled with spite. This is impossible, that guy. Before he could finish, he vanished. His final thoughts appeared as a massive emblem. He stole our hearts in a heartbeat. Jein Frey felt a vein pop in annoyance. Did the game really have to emphasize it like that? He couldn't fathom why the developers designed such ridiculous emblems. Once revived, Kukuru stood with her head bowed, awaiting her lecture, knowing she had messed up. Kukuru took full responsibility and apologized sincerely to Jein Frey for her mistake. I'll be more careful next time. Seeing her remorse, Jein Frey sighed. Well, night has fallen. Let's get some sleep. Levin, I need you to craft a few specific items for me. Here is the list. Hearing her name, Levin finally felt like a valued member of the team. She accepted the task eagerly. Understood. As night deepened, the trio huddled around a crackling campfire, eventually drifting into a peaceful, quiet slumber. However, deep in the shadows of the forest behind them, loud shouting suddenly erupted. Gah, what on earth is this? Jein Frey cracked one eye open and smirked. Still so lively even at this hour. Tomorrow is going to be interesting. A mountain of items and hearts lay scattered among the leaves. A joyful voice rang out. Wow. Look at this haul. Jein Frey was the mastermind behind the trap. He looked at the loot with satisfaction. Levin's heart-snaring traps are truly effective. The system identified it as Thief's Grass, a specialized plant designed to snatch the hearts of unsuspecting explorers. Jein Frey suddenly paused, remembering his 2 teammates who were still lost in their deep dreams. Without hesitation, he shouted to wake the sleepy Kukuru and the dazed Levin. Wake up! You two, time to move. Kukuru let out a long yawn. Is it morning already? Levin sat up, blinking in surprise. I didn't notice a thing. Jein Frey sighed, feeling a bit helpless at how carefree his companions were. With a calm gesture, he pointed behind them. He gave Kukuru and Levin a sharp reminder. It seemed some early morning guests had arrived to deliver gifts. Better stay sharp, he warned, or they'll snatch your hearts away. Shock washed over Kukuru and Levin. A cold sweat broke out as they realized that without Jein Frey's vigilance, they might have been eliminated in their sleep. Nearby, Hugo signaled his team, confirming they'd been spotted. Inesa hissed back. And here I was, hoping to slit their throats while they were still dreaming. Jein Frey remained composed, his voice steady as he cautioned his allies. Keep your guard up. Don't underestimate them for even a second. These are survivors who made it past day 1. Jein Frey added, his eyes narrowing as he sized up the opposition. They're on a completely different level than the weaklings we faced yesterday. Standing before them were 3 seasoned survivors, Hugo, Inesa, and Excel. Hugo's gaze locked onto Jein Frey's group, his mind racing. So, he has a detection skill, Hugo muttered. Was that craftsman outfit just a decoy to make us lower our guard? Clever. Deciding he'd seen enough, Hugo fanned out 3 cards and roared. Triple split teleportation. Instantly, a strange magic erupted from the cards, enveloping Jein Frey's team. Levin gasped in confusion while Kukuru cried out, Huh, what's happening? Only Jein Frey remained unshaken. As the world warped around him, he calmly analyzed the spell, trying to divide and conquer us. I see. In a flash of light, the 3 companions were hurled in separate directions. The stage was set, but what nightmare awaited them next? The first beam of light crashed down on the far side of the forest. Emerging from the glow was Levin, finding herself face to face with the deadly Inesa. A forced solo duel was about to begin. Meanwhile, Another pillar of light pierced the canopy in a different corner of the woods. Who was the second victim of the split? It was the young Kukuru, who now stood alone, staring down her new opponent 𝐼𝐻. That left Jein Frey. Fate had seen fit to pair him against the very man who had torn his team apart. Hugo, a wicked smirk twisted Hugo's face. Now that you're isolated, my summons will make quick work of your friends while I deal with you. He sneered. He completely brushed off the cold fury radiating from Jein Frey, acting as if the boy's anger meant nothing at all. Everything is going according to plan. Hugo taunted. What's the matter? Worried about your little friends? Don't fret. He continued with a mocking laugh. I'll be sending you back to the starting point to join them very soon. Jein Frey casually picked at his ear, looking bored. You really have a talent for being incredibly ungraceful when you talk, he remarked, leaving Hugo blinking in confusion. Wait. What? Jein Frey's eyes turned razor sharp. My teammates aren't the ones you should worry about. The only ones headed back to the start today. Are you? On the other side of the woods, Kukuru drew her weapon, her spirit blazing with a wild, competitive fire. Levin, too, wasn't about to back down. I refuse to lose here, Levin declared, her resolve hardening. The once silent forest now echoed with the sounds of a desperate hunt for hearts. Kukuru moved like a blur, her small stature and incredible agility making her a nightmare to track through the thick undergrowth. 𝐼𝐻 watched her movements, his frustration mounting as he stood flanked by his 3 monstrous beasts. Tch. This brat is faster than she looks, 𝐼𝐻 growled. Before he could react, Kukuru had already vaulted onto a high branch, looking down on him. It's not that I'm fast, she teased, flashing a mischievous grin. It's just that you're painfully slow. Angered, 𝐼𝐻 hurled a dagger straight at her throat. With a nimble flip, Kukuru danced through the air, the blade whistling harmlessly past her. Even as she dodged, her mind was working at high speed. 1 human and 3 summons, she noted, assessing the threat. If she could take down the master, the beast would vanish and the game would be over. Looking at 𝐼𝐻 and his snarling monsters, she knew her plan was solid. Realizing that a drawn-out battle would only favor the enemy, she decided to end it quickly. Like a bolt of lightning, Kukuru lunged toward 𝐼𝐻. All right, let's wrap this up and take that heart, she thought determinedly. The screech of clashing metal rang out. Blade met blade in a frantic exchange of blows that tore through the tranquility of the forest. Kukuru unleashed a powerful thrust, but 𝐼𝐻 was ready, deploying a hidden shield just in time to intercept the strike. 𝐼𝐻 frowned, feeling the impact. He had to admit the girl was skilled, yet he remained arrogant. Fast. But your strikes lack weight. Kukuru's expression shifted, a playful yet dangerous glint in her eyes. If they're so weak, why are you hiding behind a shield? Stop being such a coward. The taunt hit home. Furiously, 𝐼𝐻 roared. You arrogant brat summons. Tear her to bloody pieces, obeying their master's command. The 3 monsters let out blood-curdling howls and charged at the young girl simultaneously. Bloodshed seemed inevitable. Faced with 3 savage beasts, could Kukuru possibly find a way to survive the onslaught? Then, it happened. In a single, breathtaking flash of her blade, Kukuru mowed down all 3 monsters at once. Without missing a beat, she leaped back onto the safety of the trees, her voice dripping with mockery. With movements that clumsy, you'll never lay a finger on me. 𝐼𝐻 stared in horror at his fallen summons. What are you doing? He screamed. You useless beasts, get up and catch her. But as 𝐼𝐻 looked up at the branch, his heart skipped a beat. Kukuru was gone. Wah, where did she go? Suddenly, a cold, playful voice whispered from directly behind his ear. I told you. You're too slow. A voice chilled 𝐼𝐻's spine as he realized the girl had activated her stealth thievery skill. He spun around instantly, but a deafening crash echoed through the air. Kukuru's foot slammed into 𝐼𝐻's face, drawing blood with a bone-shattering strike. Before he could blink, another kick sent him flying at a speed he couldn't even track. She snatched the heart right off him and flashed a mocking grin. Who did you call weak? 1 kick is all it takes to bring you down. She was eager to get back to her teammates. Guess this is my win, she chirped. I'll be taking this heart now. But as she turned to leave, those 3 mangled monsters stood in her way, blocking her path once again. Wait. Shouldn't summons vanish when the caster is down? Her eyes widened. Is he not a summoner after all? I thought he was just some coward hiding behind a shield. Suddenly, the 3 beasts lunged at her with savage fury. She bolted instantly, screaming, no way, this wasn't part of the plan. My math was totally off, but at least I got the heart. Time for a tactical retreat. Fading into a blur of speed, she vanished. Meanwhile, Levin was busy crafting a mysterious new herb. Her eyes scanned the area searching for a vital component. System seeking grass, rank 5. Effect emits ultrasonic waves to detect mana within 100 meters for 10 minutes. Levin opened her eyes, focusing her mind. No movement detected. She recalled her clash with Inesa and how they used smoke to evade her previous strikes. I've lost their trail. But as she searched, she didn't realize she was already in someone else's crosshairs. Inesa watched through her scope, her fingers tightening on her bowstring. Suddenly, Strange voices echoed in Levin's ears. The unexpected sound made Levin jump in surprise. Every move she makes is visible to me. A hunter is the true master of this forest. Crushing her will be like child's play. Levin's eyes snapped open. Her senses sharpened as she finally pinpointed her opponent's location. She instantly crafted some blast grass and hurled it toward the bushes behind her. I found you. 𝐼𝐻𝐴's thoughts were cut short as the explosive herb streaked through the air toward her. It was the spore burst. 𝐼𝐻𝐴's voice rang out through the chaos. That's what happens when you strike blindly. An attack that doesn't land is utterly worthless. Her attack failed and Levin's confidence began to waver. Suddenly, a chill of pure dread washed over her. There's someone behind me. 3 hideous beasts emerged from the shadows. Summoned monsters. Without hesitation, the beasts lunged at her, desperate. She frantically began crafting a way to escape their claws. Thick smoke erupted, blinding the monsters and veiling her escape. She ducked behind a tree just in time as 2 arrows thudded into the wood where she stood, a hair's breadth from disaster. Crouching low, she analyzed the situation. In these tight woods, they could easily predict her every move. 𝐼𝐻𝐴's voice drifted through the trees. You're a slippery little prey. Aren't you? How long can you dodge my arrows and my beasts? But Levin blocked out the noise. The terrain favored the enemy, but she refused to be a burden to the teammates who had trusted her. Thinking of them cleared her mind. She synthesized a new herb, System Allure Grass, rank 5. Effect attracts summoned creatures with a potent aroma. Levin held the allure grass high, drawing the eyes of the beasts. They stared in confusion as she hurled the grass, giving the monsters no chance to escape. Eat this, she cried. All 3 monsters looked up, fixated on the herb flying through the air. To those mindless creatures, the grass looked like the most delicious feast they had ever seen. Hidden in the shadows, 𝐼𝐻𝐴's face fell as she watched her summons walk straight into the trap. Seeing her plan succeed, Levin's eyes sparkled with triumph. The summons are distracted. Now, it's just you and me. Clever. 𝐼𝐻𝐴 spat. But I don't need beasts to crush a weakling like you. Levin tilted her head. But haven't you missed every single shot so far? Shut up, 𝐼𝐻𝐴 roared in fury. Those were just warning shots. Ignoring the excuse, Levin focused. She began crafting her next weapon. I won't lose here. System Supernova Grass, rank 5. Effect emits a blinding, radiant light. Radiant grass erupted into the sky, drowning the entire battlefield in a blinding, white glare. The sudden flash sent 𝐼𝐻𝐴 into a panic. What is this? The overwhelming light scorched her vision, leaving her completely vulnerable. Collapsing to her knees, she cried out in pain. My eyes, I can't see anything. 𝐼𝐻𝐴 tumbled hard onto the ground, clutching her throbbing head. She groaned. Ouch. What the hell was that? Seizing the opening, Levin successfully snatched the heart crystal from 𝐼𝐻𝐴. Sorry for the cheap shot, Levin noted. But I'll be taking this now. Thanks for the help, she added playfully. Don't worry. Your sight should return in just a moment. 𝐼𝐻𝐴 was left reeling in confusion. Wait. What just happened? Without another word, Levin turned to make her exit. I'll be going now. Then, still blinded, 𝐼𝐻𝐴 fumbled around frantically, shouting, Hey, get back here. You. Are you even listening to me? 𝐼𝐻𝐴 shrieked in frustration. But by the time she looked, Levin had already vanished. She could only wonder where her opponent had disappeared to so quickly. With Levin's victory secured, only the final showdown remained. And where do you think you're going? Hugo sneered with a loud, mocking laugh. He told his opponent to stop acting tough before immediately activating his summoning magic. Brimming with ego, he boasted, My summons are elite and outnumber you. You don't stand a ghost of a chance. But Jein Frey didn't flinch. He was only annoyed. Shut up already. Your arrogance gave me all the time I needed. Suddenly, a massive blue beast lunged right past Hugo, leaving the summoner frozen in absolute shock. Hugo was baffled as the 3 powerful beasts he had just summoned began marching toward Jein Frey. They were switching sides. Panic surged through Hugo as he screamed, How is this possible? What have you done? What's going on? You're supposed to be my summons, damn it. What kind of trick did you use? Jein Frey calmly stroked a giant bird perched on his shoulder. I guess they just prefer my company, he teased, staring Hugo down. Seeing his opponent's utter confusion, Jein Frey asked, Don't you agree just then? The system interface flickered to life. Condition met 20 hours of continuous use. The Angelic Ring's 3rd skill has reached a new level. Skill Evolution. Illusion Garden has transformed into the gloomy illusion playground. Jein Frey didn't waste a second, commanding his new army. All right. Finish him. The 3 behemoths didn't hesitate, charging directly at their former master, Hugo. They were ferocious. Panicking, Hugo frantically whipped out a mysterious purple grimoire, his desperation reaching its limit. With a wave of his hand, a colossal titan erupted from the book. Defend me, he shrieked as the beasts collided. The clash was brutal, but the 3 beasts were clearly outmatched by the titan's overwhelming strength. The trio fell, battered and broken, while the titan stood tall, unmoved, and completely unscathed by their assault. Hugo erupted in triumphant laughter. That's the price for betraying your master. And you're next, Jein Frey. But before Hugo could finish his boast, an impossible sight unfolded right before his very eyes. The 3 fallen beasts rose again, shielding Jein Frey. Hugo gasped. What They're being resurrected. This is impossible. While Jein Frey wore a satisfied smirk, Hugo screamed in a blind panic. What's going on? What kind of dark sorcery is this? Suddenly, Jein Frey's physical form began to blur and multiply rapidly. He calmly replied to Hugo. You have so many allies. It's only fair that I even the odds. Right. Dozens of Jein Freys materialized, encircling Hugo in an instant. He spun around, unable to distinguish the real one. Hugo's mind raced. What is this skill? Mirror images, surrounded by a sea of enemies. He let out a helpless roar. This isn't fair, Hugo snarled, reaching for his grimoire again. He yelled, "You're underestimating me. Brat, I summon you." A second behemoth materialized, a towering, blue-skinned giant known as the Orc Chieftain. Without a moment's delay, its massive axe came crashing down upon the circle of Jein Frey clones. Clones shattered with every swing. Yet the real Jein Frey was nowhere to be found among the carnage. As the sharp blade tore through the last of the clones, Hugo began to laugh mockingly at the empty display. Is that all? Just paper tigers. But then, the defeated clones began to reform, standing back up perfectly intact. The legion of clones rose in unison, tightening their circle. Finally, cold, paralyzing fear gripped Hugo's heart. The clones spoke in a haunting chorus. Enough talk. I have teammates to find. It's time to end this. Hugo's face drained of all color. He realized with horror that he was completely powerless against Jein Frey. Amidst the corpses of the original summons, a towering Grim Reaper appeared before Hugo, ready to escort him out of the game. Hugo's agonized scream echoed through the heavens, shattering the silence of the entire forest. Foaming at the mouth from the repeated shocks, Hugo collapsed, helpless as he awaited the inevitable loss of his heart. Jein Frey gazed with satisfaction at his fallen foe. It performed exactly as expected from the gloomy illusion garden. Let's explain this skill. This is the ultimate upgraded version of the angelic circle skill from the illusion garden, allowing him to cast multiple illusions simultaneously on humans, summoned beasts, and all manner of creatures. Unlocking this required 20 hours of continuous combat. Only within the SSG could one find a battle lasting this long. Jein Frey leaned down gracefully. He intended to claim Hugo's heart, but something in the man's pocket piqued his curiosity. It was the stash of hearts Hugo had plundered. Jackpot. Jein Frey grinned. This guy was carrying quite a haul. His thoughts turned to his two teammates. He wondered how they were faring. It was time to regroup. The trio finally reunited. 𝐼𝐸 proudly showed off her trophies, chirping, "Praise me, come on. Give me some praise." Jein Frey offered a somewhat reluctant compliment. "Great job." Meanwhile, Levin asked with concern if they were both unharmed. From there, their journey became much smoother, using clever traps to catch opponents. 𝐼𝐸 rapidly expanded their collection of hearts. Rival teams were left fuming after being crushed by Jein Frey's squad. Suddenly, an announcement blared. Time was up, and the SSG was over. Every participant was teleported back to the starting zone. Soon, the entire crowd was gathered once more. The air was thick with excited chatter about the competition. Jein Frey and his team blended quietly into the massive crowd. The trio waited with bated breath for the final standings. Before long, the speakers crackled to life to reveal the winners. The officials announced the rankings, starting with third place Team 𝐷𝐚𝐽. With 46 hearts collected, Team 𝐷𝐷𝐚𝐽 erupted in joy, thrilled with their podium finish. Onlookers whispered in awe at the power of the third-ranked squad. The announcements continued. Second place went to Team 𝐷𝐴𝐴𝐴, boasting an impressive 55 hearts. Team 𝐷𝐴𝐴𝐴 beamed with pride and confidence. The news sent ripples of shock through the spectators. 55. Was that still not the top score? The previous record was 50, meaning this year's SSG had already been shattered. As expected of the notorious whimsical killer 𝐷𝐴𝐴𝐴, but if they were second, who on earth took first place? Without further delay, the final bomb dropped. The glorious first place belonged to Team Jein Frey, with a staggering 108 hearts. A truly shocking figure that left everyone paralyzed with disbelief. 108. It was absolutely legendary. The crowd erupted. I've seen Jein Frey's name in the news, so that's him. This is my first time seeing the legend in person. All eyes were now fixed on Jein Frey's team as the officials prepared to hand over their hard-earned rewards for their victory. Team Jein Frey received 100 million gold and the keyless treasure, a rank F rarity item. With the ceremony over, the group gathered to divide the loot. Levin looked at her companions with a hint of bashfulness. She hesitated before asking softly, "Is it really all right for me to take the entire 100 million gold? I'd rather steal than receive anyway." "So it's fine," 𝐼𝐸 chirped before Jein Frey silenced the brat. "Ignore her. We don't mind." Jein Frey continued. "Just as we agreed. Our only interest is this keyless treasure." Levin nodded. "I understand. As a medic, what I need most is the capital to purchase rare ingredients. Then it's a deal." Jein Frey concluded. "Oh. And one more thing, I need you to concoct something special for me. I've already gathered all the materials during the SSG. Levin waved her hands dismissively. "In that case, consider it done." Jein Frey and 𝐼𝐸 didn't linger, waving a final goodbye to Levin as night began to blanket the world. Back at the inn, 𝐼𝐸 was already out cold. The little girl was fast asleep, snoring in the most unrefined manner imaginable. Meanwhile, Jein Frey remained awake, meticulously navigating through the complex windows of his holographic system panel. All right. Now that the loudmouth is asleep, time to wrap this up. Suddenly, Jein Frey's entire presence began to shift. The system pinged, Skill 1. Necklace of Memories. War Chronicles activated. Job change from crafter to summoner. With his new class active, Jein Frey immediately channeled his energy to summon the beast. 𝐷𝐴𝐷𝐴𝐷. He sought the secret within the keyless treasure, an item only awarded for exceeding 100 hearts. Jin tossed the chest skyward. The lockless chest seemed useless at first glance. But Jein Frey knew better. He needed 𝐷𝐴𝐷𝐴𝐷's unique assistance to crack it. Come it. 𝐷𝐴𝐷𝐴𝐷𝐴 now. Let's see what Levin's craftsmanship can really do, Jein Frey muttered, preparing the specially made tools. He produced a rank A flame sprayer and its icy counterpart. One incinerated everything in its path, while the other froze it solid by bombarding the chest with fire, ice, and lightning. The mechanism finally yielded, revealing the hidden key within. The chest clicks open as the system window flickers to life. Congratulations, the sealed treasure has been unlocked, granting you the legendary left arm of the destroyer. Jein Frey lifts the newly acquired gear from the chest, a smirk playing on his lips. Another hidden piece of equipment is finally his. Returning to his usual self, Jein gazes at the bracelet, realizing he has just secured yet another powerful hidden artifact. Staring into the dark night, Jein Frey ponders his next move. Normally, he would head straight for the S-rank dungeon. But after last night, this morning, a high-spirited Kukuru eagerly asked, Brother Jein, let us hurry and head to the next location. Full of curiosity, the young girl continued, are we doing something else first? Or heading straight to the dungeon? Jein hesitated before answering. Deep down, he wondered how to handle this situation. What should his next move be? Looking at the girl across from him, Jein thought, to be honest, I cannot let Kukuru enter an S-rank dungeon. She cannot even fight demons yet. At that moment, Jein Frey came to a final decision. Kukuru, I am going to train you, he declared. The girl froze in shock, her eyes wide at the sudden mention of training. Without explaining further, Jein gave his first order, go gather materials from all over the mountain. Kukuru gasped at the massive list. This is way too much. These are essential supplies for the next dungeon, Jein explained coldly. And naturally, using your stealing skill is strictly forbidden. Staring at the list, Kukuru cried out, that will take forever. But Jein was firm. If you refuse, then you do not need to follow me anymore. Our master-disciple relationship ends here. Take care of yourself. Gritting her teeth, Kukuru swallowed her pride for the sake of the journey. She dashed toward the mountain, shouting back, fine, I will get them, just wait for me. Seeing his plan succeed, Jein Frey smirked to himself. Luckily, she is easy to trick. Now I can enjoy solo play again. He had arrived at the 5th continent's S-rank dungeon warp gate. Before stepping into the gate, he thought, goodbye, Kukuru. With a silent apology to the girl, he vanished into the portal. I am doing this for your sake, so do not hate me. Suddenly, Jein began falling through space without anything to slow him down. As he plummeted, Jein could not help but marvel at the incredible sensation. The unobstructed freefall was exhilarating. The wind pressure is amazing. This was indeed the 5th continent's dungeon, the Sky Island, a floating mass of land. Jein knew the portal opened in midair, forcing challengers to land on their own. Lost in thought, he was suddenly interrupted by the sound of someone screaming nearby. The man was falling and sobbing simultaneously. What the hell is this? Where is the ground? Jein Frey simply closed his eyes. Explorers who come unprepared will not survive here. Falling alongside him was a man named Abis. Abis grumbled to himself. You idiots. Bringing a parachute to this dungeon is the absolute bare minimum. A brightly colored parachute deployed before everyone's eyes. It seemed he had come well prepared after all. Abis sneered at Jein. Behold my perfect preparation. But then, he spotted a flock of massive black birds. They were heading straight for them. They were not birds, but grotesque monsters closing in at high speed. Before Abis could react, a monster snatched him. What, wait? Not now, he screamed in terror. Jein remained calm. A parachute is useless without the skills to back it up. I am glad I did not bring Kukuru, he thought, unaware she had been left behind. Kukuru wiped her sweat and cheered. Finally, I found the items. Meanwhile, as Jein continued his descent, another strange sound echoed through the air beside him. Turning his head, he saw a swarm of hideous monsters rushing toward him in droves. Jein Frey raised his hand toward the oncoming horde. His newly acquired hidden weapon began to resonate, pulsating with power. A three-eyed green monster was suddenly blinded by a flash, grinding its flight to a sudden halt. Jein extended his hand again, and a pale golden light intensified, forming a protective sphere around him. The sheer energy forced every monster attempting to approach him to scatter in fear. The system announced God Slayer's left arm. Skill 1, Anti-Gravity. This skill is absolutely flawless, Yen remarked, admiring the bracelet. Nothing beats a hidden item. Alright, time to make my move. Jein opened his palm wide. The destroyer's left arm surged to life, unleashing bolts of lightning that struck the floating island below. Using a wind step technique, he left the blue skies behind, descending toward the temple on the island of destruction. Jein Frey entered the ruins alone, brimming with confidence. I have finally arrived, he muttered, scanning his surroundings. His eyes locked onto a mirror in front of him. Found it, he thought. Countless unknown creatures glared at him from the shadows. Jein Frey knew these guardians would eliminate any intruder the moment they were detected. Just as the thought crossed his mind, monsters lunged from the darkness to strike him. Jein Frey immediately raised his hand. The destroyer's left arm unleashed a powerful burst of anti-gravity. The monsters were annihilated instantly by the hidden weapon's overwhelming power. He scanned the area, but nothing else attacked. He wondered, is that all? He removed the spirit ring. Next was the mirror. A massive mirror stood in the darkness, yet it reflected everything before it. Jein Frey approached, seeing his own image inside. But his reflection shifted into a strange black shadow as a voice echoed from within the glass. I am a living being. What shall I reflect? Jein Frey simply smirked, his true thoughts hidden. He raised his left hand and contemplated the next step. This event triggers only after defeating the creatures and using the Godslayer's left ring to reflect in the mirror. At that moment, Jein Frey's reflection overlapped with the dark shadow. He clenched his fist, staring intently at the destroyer's arm. He tightened his grip even more, refusing to let go. Seemingly having deciphered the hidden law, the mirror glowed intensely as a voice resonated from within. The Godslayer's left ring has been reflected in me. It appeared the Godslayer's left ring had finally chosen its true master. A beam of golden light appeared before Jein Frey. The system announced he had obtained the right ring of the Creator God, as Jein Frey claimed, the item. The mirror spoke one last time, bidding farewell to the brave one. Jein Frey smiled, satisfied that the hidden set the Godslayer's left ring and Creator God's right ring was complete. He pushed forward with his plan, calculating his next move using the few beads he had saved up. To defeat the heavenly dragon ruling the 5th continent's S-rank dungeon, the demon king Bahamuden was waiting. Bahamuden stood on the island, spreading his massive wings. He spoke into the void, noting how long it had been since a strong human appeared. At that moment, Jein Frey descended before Bahamuden with perfect composure. As he appeared, the system immediately displayed all of his character information. After using teleportation, Jein Frey finally reached the heavens. From within the clouds, Bahamuden lay there with a terrifying silence, surrounded by a sea of clouds. The two stood face to face, observing each other for a long time. Jein Frey got straight to the point with a smirk, calling him arrogant. Bahamuden stood up abruptly to flaunt his overwhelming power. Bahamuden looked slightly dazed and whispered a question to the youth. Have we met before? I rarely forget the scent of the strong. Jein Frey remained silent, watching him thoughtfully. Though he lacked specific details, he sensed this Demon King's behavior differed from those he had faced before. Decisively, the Demon King raised a clawed hand, manifesting a gargantuan sphere of energy known as the Black Flame Roar. That concentrated spiritual aura shot toward him like a lightning-fast arrow. However, with his sharp eyes, Jein Frey analyzed the threat instantly. He used teleportation to evade the looming danger. Utilizing rapid movement, Jein Frey flickered in and out of sight. Hovering directly in front of Bahamuden, he stared down his opponent without hesitation, immediately thrusting his arm forward. A golden circle appeared as he channeled a mysterious, divine force, anti-gravity. The power struck the Demon King's face, leaving Bahamuden stunned. He widened his eyes in disbelief. Realizing he had been pushed back, he questioned if this was indeed a skill related to gravity. Jein Frey then clenched his fist and unleashed a flaming strike. The fire fist hit Bahamuden squarely, knocking him back helplessly. A relentless barrage of fiery punches surrounded Bahamuden, leaving him confused yet strangely excited. I can't maintain distance. What an interesting skill. He dodged Jein Frey's next punch with ease. Realizing the shift in momentum, Jein Frey pulled his legs together as a blue aura erupted. Dragon God's Gale in an instant. A summoned dragon rose to confront the Demon King. Taking advantage of Bahamuden's momentary distraction, Jein Frey delivered a powerful aura-infused kick that hit its mark perfectly. Having struck his blow, Jein Frey landed in a crouch to await the result, looking up at the white clouds. Suddenly, Bahamuden emerged from the clouds completely unscathed. Tearing through the white mist, he spoke with a cold gaze, telling Jein Frey it was interesting and asking the human to entertain him further. Jein Frey narrowed his eyes, meticulously analyzing his foe's every move. A 50% gap in long-range stats. His unique traits are the real threat. Suddenly, Bahamuden launched a counter, soaring high into the heavens, channeling his inner power. Bahamuden's claws glowed with a blood-red aura. Don't die too soon, he sneered. A massive wave of energy erupted from above. Black Dragon fire burst. The devastating blast rained down, forcing a panicked Jein Frey into a desperate defense. To survive the onslaught, he instantly triggered his ultimate defensive technique, super anti-gravity. He barely escaped the blast, but a chilling voice right behind him made his blood run cold. You think that's enough to stop me? A whip of pure crimson energy lashed out. Black Dragon Slash. This was looking grim. It was Bahamuden's tail. With a thunderous strike, he sent Jein Frey spiraling through the air. Suddenly, Bahamuden froze, sensing something was off. Meanwhile, Jein Frey utilized his anti-gravity field to stabilize and shield his body from further impact. Glaring at Jein Frey, he spat with disdain. You mitigated the damage with gravity just in time. But that was merely a warm-up. Bahamuden raised his razor-sharp claws, preparing for the kill. A crimson aura surged as the sky echo roared. His concentrated power streaked through the air like a guided arrow, locked onto Jein Frey. A cataclysmic explosion erupted, shaking the heavens battered and bruised. Jein Frey was slammed ruthlessly into the jagged stone below, grimacing in agony. Jein Frey grit his teeth and spat out a curse. Damn it all. As he looked up, another sphere of raw energy was already waiting for him. Jein Frey stared blankly, his expression unreadable in the face of such overwhelming power. With nothing left to lose, he activated the mysterious gold and silver artifacts bound to his wrists, clashing his fists together. Jein Frey locked eyes with 𝐼𝐻. This is exactly what I've been waiting for. A smirk played on his lips as he began the incantation. Dark orbit instantly. A void-black sphere manifested, radiating an ominous yet powerful aura, like a vacuum. The orb swallowed every ounce of the dragon's earlier assault. 𝐼𝐻 hovered mid-air, his eyes wide with shock. What? He stared in disbelief as his energy was completely neutralized. Did that thing just devour my attacks? Manipulating the orb with both hands, Jein Frey let out a confident laugh. Every strike you throw will be consumed by this void. As Jein Frey smirked, 𝐼𝐻's mind raced. He actually absorbed my power. Impossible. 𝐼𝐻 fell silent, his mind reeling. Does such a technique truly exist? Seeing his enemy's confusion, Jein Frey couldn't help but taunt him. You seem quite rattled, struggling to keep your composure. Are we? 𝐼𝐻 replied coldly. I won't fall for such petty provocations. In the blink of an eye, he vanished from Jein Frey's sight. Suddenly, 𝐼𝐻 materialized. His massive claws inches away from the dark orb, he unleashed a barrage of physical strikes, forcing Jein Frey to endure a brutal pounding. Watching him struggle, 𝐼𝐻 realized something crucial. What's wrong? Can't absorb this. With every blow, the dragon's suspicion grew stronger. It seems your defense has its limits. You can't absorb physical strikes. Can you? Panic flickered in Jein Frey's eyes. His enemy was already deciphering his trump card, seeking to end this. 𝐼𝐻 gathered power for one final lethal strike. We dragons take pride in our invincible bodies. Now, perish. Human. As the final fist closed in, Jein Frey's eyes snapped wide. In a flash, he used teleportation to vanish from the strike's path. His target was gone. 𝐼𝐻 whipped his head around in shock. Teleportation, but Jein Frey was already standing right behind him. A sinister energy surged as Jein Frey manifested a massive sphere of pure darkness right at the dragon's back. The secret to unlocking the bracelet's second stage was simple. Activate the primary skill through both rings simultaneously. A miniature black hole sat at the orb's core, designed to devour energy and violently release it back at the foe. The void turned blinding white, erupting in a brilliant flash. A massive surge of energy consumed the area. Spirit's wrath. The two colossal forces collided, neither side willing to back down an inch. Suddenly, 𝐼𝐻's aura splintered. The sheer force of the counterattack tore through him, forcing a blood-curdling scream from his throat. Is that my own sky echo stunned into silence? 𝐼𝐻 slumped toward the earth in a daze. As he struggled to look up, the terrifying red aura surrounding him had completely flickered out, covered in smoke. 𝐼𝐻 wheezed. A mere imitation. But Jein Frey didn't waste a second, charging forward with the glowing orb. Is that so? Jein Frey tightened his grip and unleashed a decisive strike. What? Jein Frey surged forward with a confident smirk. It might be a copy, but can you survive your own power? Multiplied by 3. With that, 𝐼𝐻 took the full brunt of the impact. His face engulfed in a swirling storm of energy. He lost his balance, falling helplessly toward the ground. 𝐼𝐻's head slammed against a rock, a truly agonizing sight. Moments later, 𝐼𝐻 lay motionless, completely crushed by Jein Frey's overwhelming power. A notification pinged. The massive reward and results brought a smirk to his face as he headed back to the guild. Sunlight still flooded the room. Apologies for gathering you all during such a busy time, Nis said, seated at the table. 4 members were away on missions, but 3 veteran adventurers sat silently at the far end of the hall. A voice cut through the air. No need for formalities. Vice President Weir stated firmly. Command me, and I shall appear. His intense aura was suffocating. Still as serious as ever. Aren't you? Maria rubbed her temples in exasperation. I'm free for now, so let's wrap this up quickly. Vice President. Mira watched in silence, observing as an adventurer. To save time, Nis closed his eyes and began to speak. Understood. Let's get straight to the heart of the matter, he said, glancing toward the pair. I've received some disturbing reports lately. Weir grew curious. Was it a rogue guild or a high-rank monster? Nis shook his head, fingers interlaced. No. It is neither a guild nor a known creature. The revelation left Mira stunned into silence. Beside her, even Maria looked completely bewildered. Nis lowered his gaze, his voice turning ice cold. The Wailing Black Spirits. That was the very first report. Meanwhile, Jein Frey returned to the bustling capital. The 5th Demon King had finally been vanquished. He tapped through his system windows. The rewards were secured, and he was feeling on top of the world. Time to head to the 6th continent, then. He paused. Wait. Where's Kukuru? She's probably still training. But in another dimension, Kukuru was a sobbing mess. The training was proving to be pure hell. Shifting focus away from the girl, he looked at the massive crowd ahead. Why is it so packed? Jein Frey approached. Intrigued, he checked the system terminal, wondering what happened. Are you an adventurer too? A local asked. For some reason, the portal to the 6th continent is dead. The news left him frozen in shock for a long moment. Elsewhere, the news spread like wildfire. The teleportation gate is offline. This bug never existed in the game. Nis continued his briefing. These black spirits were like a ghostly mist. His gaze sharpened. Their wailing cries were first reported 2 weeks ago. Back at the square, Jein Frey watched the crowd disperse. He couldn't believe they were stuck here. He scratched his head in confusion. Suddenly, his eyes widened as he spotted something strange in the distance. A dark shadow moved through the bustling crowd. They were clearly not human. Back at the meeting, Nis took a steadying sip of coffee to stay alert. Setting the cup down, he hid. They aren't monsters, but they've begun appearing and attacking the citizens. Jein Frey couldn't take his eyes off the shadow. A sudden realization sent cold sweat down his back. People continued to flow past the two of them, oblivious to the looming danger. We don't know their goal, but they threaten all humanity. I have a terrible feeling about this. The Nameless walked forward slowly, ignoring its surroundings. Weir and Maria listened intently to Nis's analysis. We must resolve this before casualties mount. Suddenly, the entity sensed Jein Frey's gaze and whipped around. The Nameless One's chilling stare sent a primal shiver down Jein Frey's spine. Whatever they are, they must be destroyed, Nis declared, chin resting on his hands. These nameless creatures. In a deserted alley, the black mist finally confronted Jein Frey, revealing a twisted, sharp-toothed grin. He stood there like a statue, paralyzed by the entity's eerie presence. Seizing the moment, the nameless entity swelled in size, towering over Jein Frey and terrifying the nearby villagers. What is that thing? Why is it in the city? It threw its head back and let out a savage roar. Jein Frey broke into a cold sweat. What is this? Why did it appear here? This creature wasn't in the game database. What on earth is happening? Panic erupted as people fled, leaving a helpless boy behind. Help me, he cried. The nameless entity lunged with razor-sharp claws. Fortunately, a shield suddenly intercepted the blow. This looks bad. Super boost. The one who swung the shield to save the boy was none other than Jein Frey. The repulsive shield stood firm, fueling the nameless creature's boiling rage. As the boy retreated, Jein Frey finally deactivated the barrier. Gritting its teeth in pure malice, the nameless seethed. Was it one of those creatures? No. That is impossible. Such monsters should not exist in the city's heart. It thrust its hands forward, preparing a dark summoning. A sphere of azure spirit energy materialized through its inner power. Without hesitation, it hurled the blast at a stunned Jein Frey. Paralyzed by the assault, he could only stand there and endure the crushing force. The overwhelming power sent Jein Frey skidding back. Struggling for composure, he locked eyes with the nameless foe. Recalling that surge of power, he froze up. What was that? That move belonged to a sphere-breaking warrior. Why did a monster possess adventurer skills? Suddenly, the creature shifted its focus, plunging him into deeper confusion. It was heading for the civilians, targeting the helpless crowd. With sharpened senses, Jein Frey lunged forward like a bolt. Damn it. Wait, he poured every ounce of strength into the pursuit. Curse it. I will not make it in time. Near the light rotation wheel, a lone skeleton stood waiting. The nameless stared, its face twisted in confusion as it glared. The skeleton remained silent, meeting its gaze. Driven by feral instinct, the nameless charged, swinging its claws with murderous intent. But a different fate awaited. It took the full force of the skeleton's flaming slashes. Agonizing screams erupted as blood gushed out. Finally, it collapsed. Jein Frey watched in utter shock, his eyes darting back to the mysterious skeletal warrior. Footsteps echoed from the distance. It was clear now this being was far from human. The mastermind behind the skeleton was none other than Nis. His sudden appearance left Jein Frey speechless and stunned. Nis gestured toward the civilians. This area is perilous. Follow my undead soldiers to reach safety immediately. Instantly, an undead legion surrounded the people, offering protection. Relieved, sighs filled the air. It is Nis. We are safe. We are saved. One of the 8 great guardians is here. Hearing his name, Jein Frey realized his true identity. The 8 great guardians. Jein Frey studied Nis's face. So, this man was Mira's comrade all along. With the situation resolved, Nis turned to him. Thanks to you. The civilians in this sector remain unharmed. Thank you. Jein Frey hesitated, then voiced his burning question. Wait. What exactly was that creature? Suddenly, the system flared as a voice cut in. Excuse me, Jein Frey. This is Watt speaking. We have neutralized the target at point none. Over at the other sector, Maria has secured the situation. Target spotted at point W4. Mira's zone is also stable. This is Mira. We have located the threat at point 52. Breathing a sigh of relief, Nis replied. Understood. It seems the nameless have been temporarily suppressed. Jein Frey finally learned the monster's name. So, nameless is what they call these mysterious beings. Wait. So there is more than one. Seeing the stability, Nis suggested, I will leave the remaining cleanup to you all. Now, where were we? Jein Frey Vanred. Hearing his full name, Jein Frey flinched in surprise. You know my name, Nis smirked. You are more famous than you think. Interested in joining the 8 Great Guardians, Nis fell silent. His eyes locked on Jein Frey as he awaited a response. Jein Frey met his gaze in silence. After a long pause, he bashfully scratched his head. No thanks. I prefer the freedom of being an independent adventurer. Nis sighed. That is a real shame. Memories surfaced. I noticed a certain adventurer when I was with Mira. Nis looked up at Jein Frey. Mira's words about him were true. He possessed an aura entirely different from the average seasoned adventurer. Oblivious to these thoughts, Jein Frey just fidgeted with his gear, looking as innocent as ever. Without a word, Nis extended a hand toward him with a polite smile. Allow me to introduce myself properly. I am Nis, the vice chairman of the Adventurer Association. As they shook hands, Jein Frey's mind raced. The vice chairman, that makes him the strongest among the guardians. Their bond was sealed with a handshake until the nameless suddenly stirred. Good grief. Their resilience matches the reports. Even my elite undead soldiers are top tier. Nis noted calmly. Nis snapped his fingers, quickly reassuring the startled Jein Frey beside him. These unknown entities are called the Nameless. Their origins remain a mystery. An undead battalion appeared behind him. We do know one thing: these giants can corner them. Though the theory is still untested, Nis's expression turned cold and utterly devoid of emotion. These creatures manifest as gargantuan skeletal knights, threatening the very survival of humanity. A flurry of strikes rained down, slicing the Nameless One into mere remnants. Only ashes remained. Jein Frey watched, paralyzed by the power before his eyes. Nis turned toward the undead. If you encounter a Nameless One, eliminate it. He glanced back with a smirk. And don't worry, there's no need for mercy. Jein Frey listened, stunned, as Nis added, I know you can do it. A cold sweat broke. This was the true power of the vice president. He was formidable. Meanwhile, near Weir, another nameless monstrosity began to stir. It screeched at the group, facing the attack. Weir gripped his golden shield. The creature struck hard, delivering 2 heavy blows against his ready defense. His shield held firm, sweating. Weir tracked the beast's every movement with focus. He quickly analyzed the monster's state. Isk. Those hits were surprisingly heavy. It was over level 300. But Weir roared and prepared his counteroffensive. Every blow was reflected, seeing the monster falter. A smug grin crossed Weir's face. At that level, you can't defeat me. Weir raised his shield once more. Shield bash. A brilliant golden light slammed into the creature's weakened form. Damage scaled with his defense. And within seconds, the beast's body charred black. The creature collapsed. Defeated. Weir stood tall, reporting back to Nis with pride. Target eliminated. I'll contact the vice president immediately. Elsewhere, a figure sprinted ahead. It was another nameless beast, relentlessly stalking an adventurer through the shadows. At Sector W4, Maria smoked. Oh, what a filthy, disgusting creature. She glared at the threat. Anyone who dares cross me will pay with their life. With those final words, she soared high into the air, ready to strike. Maria gripped her massive cross. Her expression turned ruthless. Now, die for stay. A smash echoed as blood rained down. Done. Maria walked away from the gore. She paused, voice dripping with disdain. You've wasted my precious time. Rot in hell. Back with Nis. Jein Frey nodded. I understand the situation. Unless the nameless threat is resolved, travel across every continent will be blocked. Noticing Jein Frey's concern, Nis spoke up to confirm his fears. Exactly. Jein wondered why these monsters never existed in the original game. Wait. Now that he thought about it, he recalled a similar rumor. The beast haunted his mind, even though he never met it in-game. If true, he might find hidden equipment. Good work, Nis said, opening a screen. Done already? Jein was shocked. Suddenly, Maria's voice crackled through the comms. A panicked Maria reported to Nis. I'm sorry. The target has escaped. Maria, the strongest. Let the enemy slip away. Nis fought to remain composed. Are you injured? Report. Maria relayed the situation while pursuing with her spirits. I'm fine. But they fled. The spirits and I are in hot pursuit. Heading for Sector S5. Nis nodded. Rendezvous at point S5 immediately. Roger that, everyone replied. Jein Frey then approached Nis with determination. I'm coming too. We need to investigate these nameless creatures thoroughly. We need details on their power. Plus, the continental blockade is a massive problem. Jein's sharp analysis left Nis momentarily speechless. You're right, he said, encouraged. We lack info. If you're joining the front line, it would help us immensely. However, his expression turned deadly serious. The final decision rests on my command, he declared. Your safety is our responsibility. With Nis's reassurance, Jein Frey finally nodded. Understood. Thank you. Let's not waste any more time. He urged the young man forward. Let's move. Jein Frey. To point S5. Meanwhile, Mira's elemental squad was hot on the heels of the Nameless. The creature kept running, causing her to scream in frustration for it to halt. Seeing the Nameless pull further away, Mira was consumed by rage. Running away, how pathetic. This time, I won't let you slip through my fingers. Letting a fly like you escape would be my greatest disgrace. But the monster didn't get far before slamming right into Maria, who was already waiting. She raised her holy cross weapon high, Your efficiency is dropping. Mira, stop playing around and quit wasting time. Before she could strike, W suddenly intervened. Unexpected variables could arise at any second. Maria then extended her hand, manifesting a powerful barrier. As part of the 8 Guardians, we are one team. We must support each other through thick and thin, just like that. The Nameless was cornered by 3 adventurers with no hope of escape. From a distance, 𝐼𝐻 and Jein Frey finally caught up. You all arrived just in time. Mira was stunned to see them. Vice Chairman Maria and Mira pointed at Jein Frey in utter confusion, asking, "Wait, why are you here?" The question left Jein Frey completely flustered. It's just a coincidence, I guess." Seeing Mira interrogating Jein Frey, 𝐼𝐻 interjected with annoyance. "Save the chat for later. Our priority is neutralizing the target first. Now, give me back my mask." Breaking into a light sweat, Mira argued back. "Wait. Vice Chairman, there's something that wasn't mentioned in the report." Mira shouted right at him while standing near the creature. "That Nameless. It just spoke." This shocking revelation forced 𝐼𝐻 to glare at the monster in disbelief. The Nameless can speak, even though it's supposed to be a brainless creature. As he stood in silence, a sudden realization struck Jein Frey. He turned to the group with a panicked expression. "Everyone, fall back immediately." A sinister smirk crept across the Nameless's face. Suddenly, from behind the thick trees, a massive horde of nameless monsters swarmed toward them. "It looks like we have even more delicious food this time. Devour them all." The sight left the 5 adventurers horrified as they huddled together for defense. The gnashing monsters lunged at Jein Frey and Mira. Maria stood firm behind them, raising her staff high to provide support. Mira Ifritis conjured a massive blaze with her bare hands. With an explosive burst of Ifrit's flames, the monsters were instantly blasted away. The monsters were slowly reduced to ash within the inferno. The 3 of them watched calmly as Maria rested her staff upon her shoulder. "See, we can handle these punks in a heartbeat." "I love this." Jein Frey could only stare at her in slight amazement. "I can't forgive myself for letting creatures like these escape. Especially since they have the ability to speak. Monsters that can speak the human tongue." 𝐼𝐻 led the group, pondering the situation. "Looking at this, it's clearly not the work of a single individual. This is far more serious than we imagined." 𝐼𝐻 frowned deeply. "They possess intelligence." Jein Frey and W stood in silence, staring at the ground. The women stood to the side, remaining quiet. Suddenly, Jein Frey's eyes widened as if he'd sensed something ominous. He turned toward the distant horizon. "I can sense a massive source of magic deep within the forest. And it's another Nameless." A chilling silence fell over the 3 behind him. Suddenly, 𝐼𝐻 asked, startling Jein Frey. "How do you know that?" He scratched his head, struggling to explain. 𝐼𝐻 stood back and smiled. "It seems he received some special training in mana detection back in his hometown." Jein Frey looked at him and added, "Regardless, we can't just leave them be like this. Jein Frey, can you lead us to them?" Though a bit flustered, he agreed. "Yes." He then led the group deeper into the dark forest. A glowing magic circle appeared within the woods. "It's here," he said, pointing toward the pulsating formation. "I sense a massive amount of nameless mana right there." His hair partially obscured his gaze as 𝐼𝐻 realized. This is a gate to another dimension, a mage-class skill. Mira's expression turned incredibly grim. This confirms it. The Nameless can steal adventurer skills. Jein Frey stood in the darkness, lost in thought. There was no room for doubt now. This matches the rumors I heard in my past life. If so, these creatures are leveling up exactly like adventurers do. This is going to be a major problem. 𝐼𝐻 gave a reassuring smile. But with 4 out of 8 guardians and 1 promising rookie, we should be fine. He couldn't believe his ears. Jein Frey. "Isn't that the name that's been all over the newspapers lately?" she repeated in shock. Promising rookie Maria rubbed her chin, sizing him up. "So, it was you all along," 𝐼𝐻 added indifferently. "Let's head inside." Jein Frey felt helpless. "Why do I feel like I'm being played like a fiddle by that guy?" The group of 5 stepped into the magic circle together. It transported them to a dark room filled with countless doors. "What on earth is this? There's nothing here but doors." W noted. "I'll take the lead. Everyone, stay close behind me." Maria gestured with her hand. "Listen. Rookie, stick close to the shield bearer. We'll cover the rear." Jein Frey gave a light smile. "Understood. I'll leave it to you then." A hand reached for the knob, slowly creaking the door open. W stepped inside first to scout, with Jein Frey following calmly behind him. Total silence. Then, something shifted beneath them. They whirled around in shock as heavy iron bars slammed shut over the wooden exit. Outside, the others were equally stunned. "What on earth?" she gasped, her face pale with confusion.